like, I think you were watching it. Like, because I have two screens.
So you know what I don't get, because I have the dual monitors too.
Yeah.
I don't get, if you can't have YouTube on at work, then they shouldn't allow you access with your computer.
Well, I can argue that to death. So that's why no one really calls me out on it, like HR level. Because you'd be like, all right, I'm allowed to listen to something. I cannot download anything on the computer. I cannot have a CD player because it doesn't have a CD player. I cannot play on my Spotify because the computer is not allowed to read any.
And you're
outside.
still in the office, right? You're not
Yes,
working.
yes. So, ta-da!
You can say hi now. We're actually live. I've been recording you since.
Oh, good God. Too late.
I never tell people when I'm actually start recording. I don't. I like the organic opening. Because most podcasts, like if you're introducing somebody, fine. But I like that surprise factor. So
Yes, that was a very surprise factor going on there.
So, folks, welcome to another episode of the Bardi Shop, and I am blessed today because I have the lovely, the beautiful, the single Farrah Dawson with me today.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So, as you all know, and we've talked about, I really wanted to get you on the show because I'm dying to learn about where you were born and raised and what your childhood was like, the comparisons, the similarities, and some of the things that you see developing in this country now with the political climate compared to where you were coming from in Iraq. Proud to say you have a brother that's in the Marines.
Army.
Okay.
He was too old to get into the Marines when he joined.
You know, I said this before on social media. One of my biggest regrets is not going to the military when I could have when I was a kid.
I'm glad you didn't.
Why?
Because the things you would see if you get deployed in a war will change your life forever.
Yeah. So I have a few friends that have done a couple of tours, and they say the same thing. But I always wanted to, I guess, do more. Like looking at the way the world is now and how important it is to have that patriotic mentality and really kind of stand up for your country. I always wish I had done.
I think you're doing more than enough right now because you really try to stand up for your country.
Trying.
In the ways you can, and you're still not blocked and canceled.
Shocking though, isn't it? I put up some weird shit. Although I got my first warning yesterday.
I saw.
Did I tell you what actually prompted that?
No.
All right. So I gained a ton of new followers and stuff with the whole Trump thing.
Yeah.
So this one girl, Hannah Leonard, I think is her name, and she had put a post up that the Democrats throughout the impeachment are saying that they were joking when they talked about assassinating President Trump, that it was a joke. So I commented on her post. I said, it's a joke.
It's going to be a long 4 years, isn't it?
I said, if that's a joke, I said, then is it okay for me to say that I want to assassinate all of these motherfuckers?
Right.
And then I got the warning like 2 minutes later. I had stepped away from my phone. I came back and I had a bunch of alerts came up. Yeah. So then I copied and pasted. I'm like, look at this. I broke my cherry. I finally got a warning.
Well, thank God you're not blocked yet.
No. It took me a while. I've gotten away with some pretty racy.
We're friends.
Yeah, so,
sometimes I don't like download things and then I cannot not share them. So I either share them by text or WhatsApp to like my friends who we are like on the same devil mentality and beliefs. And you're awesome.
I try to be.
All I could say.
I try to be. You know what it is? And I'm fortunate. I know we were talking about this before. Yeah. I'm lucky in that it doesn't, like my job is not in jeopardy. There's a lot of people whose jobs police these things. They watch your social media.
Right.
I'm very fortunate that my company, as long as I don't talk about, patients, the clinical side of my company, blah, 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 I can really say whatever I want.
They have to understand you're representing yourself.
Yeah, I think
liberals kind of sum it up like, oh, you work for this company, it's your company values. No, you're really talking for yourself, where you stand as an individual. This is how you feel.
And I'm glad you see it that way because I don't agree with the fact, like I was always afraid to kind of take it to the level that I have because I'm afraid somebody's going to call my job, report me and this and that. But I've actually found it's quite to the contrary. I've had more people support what I'm saying and doing. But they're secretive about it. Like I get private messages on Facebook like, hey, keep it up. I'm like, why don't you guys just speak up for yourselves? And then you realize that, no, they can't. No, they absolutely can't.
I have a friend on Facebook. She shares a lot of things with me since like before the election and after. And I'm like, how come you're not sharing that? And she was saying like her job will actually discipline her
For posts.
For posts like they are pro-Trump, and then after a while, after going back and forth and whatnot, she kind of said, "Well, we have someone got fired. They are teachers, and a teacher got fired because of what she was sharing on her own Facebook or Instagram. I'm not even sure. So she got fired for her own beliefs because this is not how you're supposed to do. You maybe.
How does that not open the company up for a lawsuit though? I don't understand that. Like, how are you not, like, social media is not your job. Your job, you know, if you could show me in a job description where you're supposed to politically support the company's views.
Yes.
I don't see, but I think a lot of people just get afraid. They're scared. They don't think that they could probably file some type of action. That's
that. I'm glad that my company doesn't force any policies on us either. They just don't. They don't come after you for what you said. Even if like two people were talking at work on company property, if a third person heard it, they're not going to come after you for that.
Oh God, do you know? And I'm sure you guys go through. Yeah, I know you go through this too. But so now I work for Lifespan. You know, like they're the largest employer in the state and so forth. There's so many rules, policies, this, that. Now we have to go. They have trainings you have to go through to the right gender pronouns. He, she, they, it, like who's on first. Like, I don't know. By the way, let's do a toast.
That's a toast.
What are we going to toast to? I know this is like our third toast
just
already.
Adam and Eve.
Yeah, Adam and Eve. Let's toast to Adam and Eve. But so now we have to go through trainings to figure out what's acceptable when you're referring to people, like how to refer to somebody.
How would you know?
I just say hi. I don't even associate, like, I don't know why I have to associate someone's gender when I greet them.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Like I'm a female. How would you know? I'm a woman. How would you know I'm a woman?
But why would I greet you that way?
Like.
Why would I greet you that way? Like when I opened my front door, I gave you a hug, said, "Hey, nice to see you. Come inside, make yourself at home." Yeah. I didn't say, "Hey, Farrah, female, he, she, gender queer." I'm not really, okay, come on in. I don't know what gender chair you want to sit in. Like, it's fucking ridiculous to me.
The left. I call them the left. It's not even liberals. Liberals follow, like, I've seen a post 2 years ago where CNN as a word, and there's a bunch of sheeps. Like, this is how CNN people are. I feel like liberals, and no offense to anyone, but
no, take the offense, please do.
This is how it is. You believe whatever someone tells you. Most of them, they don't do their own homework. Mm-hmm. They just don't. You said something, I believe you. You say something, I'm not really sure. Mm-hmm. I'll go Google it. There's something called Google, people.
At the internet. Yep.
Try it. So they don't do their homework.
No, they don't.
And at the end, they are more dividing. They are divided by color, they are divided by ethnicity, they are divided religion, they are divided by gender. The more you divide, the more you conquer.
Well, and here's the problem. We're dividing amongst ourselves. So we have this political machine.
Yes.
You know, I don't like any politics. I don't like left, right. I don't consider myself a Republican, a Democrat. I truthfully, and we talked about this before, I'd never even liked Donald Trump until, like you said, I believed in what he was trying to do.
Yes.
And for anyone who hasn't really paid attention to this yet, he's kicked over more rocks since 2016 and uncovered more bullshit. When on earth have you seen so many evil things brought to the surface? Human trafficking, pedophilia, the horrific treatment of men, women, and children in Hollywood. Political lies, stealing, the Clinton Foundation, underground tunnels for whether or not any of this is real, because a lot of it is speculation. You see things all over the place.
Yep.
But the fact that it's being brought to the surface, I don't think it's a coincidence. And I think a lot of people have a hard time accepting that our reality could in fact be 99% a lie. I think a lot of people have a hard time accepting that. I'm curious.
I'm not sure why.
I don't know why either. I mean, I can't believe that we're supposed to get up from children, go to school, get out of high school, go to college, or go to the military, do whatever you do, buy a house, pay bills, pay taxes, pay bills, pay taxes, hopefully retire, die, leave your debt and what little money you have left to the next generation. It's just like this gigantic labor recycling process. There has to be more to life than that.
There is more. And for Trump, I never liked him as a person, like a character-wise, because he intrigues everyone like he's just a bully and a brat. Mm-hmm. Fine. Then I started to see what was he doing here, on our policies here, and what was he doing on the outside, like foreign policies. and from someone who was born and raised in Baghdad, I must say, if he ran as a president over there, everyone would have voted him in. The difference between when we had Republicans, we saw both. As a country, when we were invaded by Republicans. George Bush is the one who said, we're going there.
Desert Storm 1990, right?
That was the father. Then 2003.
Correct. Yeah.
The son.
George W.
W.
Yeah.
So W said we're going and we're there. But we saw the difference between politics when we had Republicans in charge into when Obama took over. Republicans came in, were like, we're going to free you. Then, we're in occupation. And then we were fine with it. People were fine with it. We're like, what are you going to give me next? As an Iraqi person who had to suffer through Saddam's regime for 35 years, which I'm not 35 then. People were like, yay, this is our chance. We're going to be like Dubai now. We thought we're going to be up to Dubai, like where Dubai was. We're like, we're going to have oil invested and we're going to have the money returned to people and we're going to have buildings and jobs and everything. Well, that didn't happen because like the conflict, Al-Qaeda kicked in. But who funded Al-Qaeda?
We did.
So it was already funded. I'm not blaming left or right. Then Obama came in. Like he came over, decided to say, how about we divide the country? I'm, as an Iraqi born, I'm Kurdish. I don't know if you know, in Iraq there's Kurds and Arabs. Kurds are the second, so we're counted as minority. So I'm Kurdish. We have a region up north, and we had a country back, I don't know when. Supposedly we were a country, then we got divided between Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. So the Kurdish dream is just like the Jewish dream. One day we'll have our own. So that's legit. Me as a Kurdish person who was born in Baghdad, who were between, like, I'm a Kurd, but I live among Arabs, I didn't have a problem with that. We as people should be the first ones to say, yes, let's divide the country and cut our share.
Yeah, you want your land back.
I don't.
No?
I want Iraq to stay together, regardless of what you are, Kurds, Arabs, Muslims, Shiites, because it's so colorful, it's hard to keep it together. But Saddam did. I can't believe I'm going to talk good about the guy. I can't.
No, it's actually one of the things I wanted to talk about later on, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Yes. So the thing about it, we saw the difference. Let me go back to where we saw the difference between how politics works, between left and right. Left, we're more like, we're here to divide and conquer, and the more we divide you, the more we're going to earn back.
Oh, yeah.
So that's that. And then you see the same thing happening here now. Let me come back to what's going on right here. So it's the same thing. Back in Baghdad, you were not allowed to own a gun. And hello, Second Amendment. We were not allowed to own a gun unless you were in the military or you were in Ba'ath Party. So it's either you get it from the government or the government. And if you buy it from a third party, it has to be registered. Where are we going? Biden want to sign that bill that every gun should be registered. So
and taxed.
Yeah.
I think it's like a 20 or 30% tax on ammunition, something crazy.
And you can have as much as you want, I think. Someone was telling me.
Right now,
I didn't do my homework yet.
So I built an AR-15 recently, so you can get 30, and I'm not even sure you can get 40-round magazines now, but I have a bunch of 30-round magazines. They want to drop it down to 10 rounds.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's bills down in, I think it's West Virginia right now. Was it one of the Carolinas? I can't remember. They want to limit virtually everything, so all you can get is like this tiny little handgun, like it's something crazy. I'd have to go back, but there was all these stipulations. So, look, I don't agree with it. The Second Amendment was put in place in this country for exactly what we're seeing right now, to prevent a government from becoming too powerful.
Yes. Because
they work for us. And I think a lot of people forget that. They are voted by us. Well, they used to be voted by us. Now you can just steal the election. So yeah, there's a lot of, and that was one of the main things I wanted to talk about with you is I feel like we are slowly becoming exactly what you had moved out of. Other people have immigrated away from to come here because this was the promised land. This was, you came here, you had a chance, you had options, you had education, you had, benefits of different forms of healthcare. You hear just the fact that you can be an intact family, your life isn't in danger. We've, we attacked ourselves on our own soil during the American Revolution, but since then we haven't really been attacked. So it's safe here.
Yeah.
So these are just some of the reasons I would imagine people want to immigrate here, but I feel like we're working in the complete opposite direction at this point.
There's many factors. One of them, people over here don't take what they have in appreciation. Like, I appreciate that I have the basics. Like, you have electricity, you have running water, you have good healthcare. Don't tell me universal healthcare will solve our problems. So back to the like, let's compare. All right. Liberals say, let's get everything free, right? Or they're pushing towards everything free. Free with what? We're not invested in our own natural resources. No. We're not doing anything about that. We're just going to get taxed so other people can get free things. So when I grew up and we had free things, our oil paid for it. We had good school system. At the end, it wasn't that great because of like the level of poverty started to grow more. So people had to do other things to get their needs met. But when you look at it, we are literally heading towards the life I ran away from.
Yeah. It's primarily what I wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
And I don't think the people who are voting for this or who are advocating for this, I don't think they have a full grasp or a real understanding of what they're asking for or what they're shooting for. Their argument, first of all, you can't talk to, and I hate to generalize, but you almost have to, because have you had a sensical conversation with a far left individual? Like,
they can't. They can't carry a conversation.
I don't think you can. I won't even engage them anymore because it's like I'm talking to channel 12, like CBS. Yes. It's like I'm just talking to a news station. Yes. Just regurgitated bullshit over and over again.
That's why I said the CNN post and how people follow whatever they see. Back to Trump himself, I did not vote for Trump in 2016. For a comment he said, I'm going to put Muslims on registry. Yeah. And I was thinking like, wait, growing as a Kurdish woman, as a Kurdish person altogether, I was treated differently than Arabs in Baghdad because Saddam didn't like us because we always wanted to break free from the country. And it's not me. I was born in Baghdad. The struggle was up north. So the Kurds look at me like I am someone who was privileged to live among Arabs, and I was fine. I was not killed. I was not tortured. Not me, not my family. No one came after us for any reasons. Seriously, this is how it was with Saddam. If you're not against him, he's not coming after you. If you're against him 1% in any way, that's when you and your whole family are in trouble. So that being said, that back then, I lost the track where I was going with this.
We were talking about Trump, why you didn't vote for him in 2016.
I didn't because of that comment, because I felt like I was treated as a minority my whole life. And
you were being lumped into a category.
And then again, I'm here coming, like, I'm going to be discriminated against.
The same thing.
The same thing. I'm like, no, you know what? No, you don't represent me. Then I took my time to study the guy and what he was doing, not as a personality, as acts. And that's when I started to realize, you know what, this guy really loves this country.
I didn't vote for him in 2016 either.
Shame on us.
I didn't vote in 2016. I'm going to be honest with you. So I've never, this has always been my conundrum with voting. I'm a sympathetic individual, but I have an aggressive side. So that being said, I can see the benefits to the Democrat and the Republican. What I've always looked for is an individual that can embody the best of both of their ideologies. Yeah. We've never really had one before. No. What I saw with Trump from 2016 up until this election, which I did vote for him this time, what I saw with Donald Trump was I thought it was a fucking joke that he was running. Here is this billionaire.
Entertaining.
It was TV personality. I'm like, this is a joke. I'm like, and I felt embarrassed that I took that mindset because you saw quickly, I think his first 18 to 24 months was a feeling out process because you had each party pulling you in different directions. They're trying to subterfuge him, that they're trying to run amok behind the scenes and ruin him because he wasn't supposed to win in the first place. And despite all that, he spent 4 years doing everything he was able to do despite not having the House and the Senate, on his side. He did everything he could to better this country, and it was significantly different. I tend to judge the value of a presidency by, are there jobs, and there were, what's the value of my home like, and what is how healthy is your retirement? What's your 401k or your pension doing? Those are the three tangible things that I tend to look at in terms of how good a president's doing, and they flourished. They were phenomenal. Yeah. And now here we are, a month or so, whatever it is, into Biden's administration, and he's completely dismantled literally every single thing.
Yes.
He's done nothing but all of his actions have hurt the country. So I can't help but think that, and you look at the way he's acting as a president, you don't see him. He's hiding.
He's hiding somewhere.
Wherever he is, that's what a dictator does. You pass these ridiculous policies that hurt people behind the scenes, and then you never put yourself out there for persecution.
Reminds me of someone.
Saddam?
You never knew where he was. You never knew what he did. But we all lived it through a government and what the government tells you to do. Yes, I wasn't hurt as like physically or emotionally hurt as an individual. But this is how it was. You have rules and you follow them. You're fine. You don't have rules. You're not following what you're supposed to. I feel this is how Joe Biden is doing his thing. Another thing the difference between Trump and I can't even say President Biden.
I don't like it. Just call him.
I can't. I just say Biden.
Clone Biden.
I don't care what is he like.
I will never call him the president.
I can't. See what Obama did. Let's talk a little bit about what he did with Iran deal. We literally gave Iran money, and Iran used that against us in Iraq. And then ISIS got stronger somehow. And Hezbollah got stronger, of course, because they fund Hezbollah as well. And things started to look really bad. Trump came on board and he's like, we don't owe you anything. No, we're out. And that's when he earned everyone's respect from the Middle East, because Iran's really bad for the whole Middle East and for us. It's not just us. So when he killed that general that day,
And we're back.
Excuse me. When Trump killed that Iranian general, that's the day I was like, all right, I was doing my homework for the policies he was doing, like he was implanting and the things he was signing on. And I'm like, all right, this guy really likes his country, not love, likes. Then he killed that guy, and that instantly made me like, you know what? I texted my girlfriend, who's also a beautiful woman from Baghdad, and she lives in California. And I texted her the news. Hey, so they killed this guy. And then she's like, I'm voting for... She is your far left liberal could be. But she voted for Trump because of what he did there against Iran. The danger we don't see here is way bigger than what the media is giving you. Media is not talking about Iran. It's not giving you the perfect picture about ISIS.
No.
Never gave you the perfect picture about Al-Qaeda. Even 9/11. Everyone says it's an inside job. To me, I would rather not to see it as an inside job, because my home got destroyed because of someone else's mistake. That kind of hurts.
Yeah. You want to know that there was a purpose or some type of purpose.
I would like to believe it.
Instead of just this empty fake thing perpetrated for money and bases and banks and bullshit.
Even if it was for money, trust me, people were fine with it. That's why I mentioned earlier that we were fine when the Bush administration was still on. We're like, all right, you're here for the oil, take the oil and give us a better life. And then Obama got in charge, he was elected, and things changed over there the same way it changed over here. Things changed over there. We're like, oh, okay, we're no longer an occupation. We're going to hand it down to the Iraqi government, who were at the time not really strong enough to have any decisions made, and they were taking orders from Iran. So we literally took our troops as Americans, and we wasted a lot of lives and money in a war about a country that wasn't really a major threat for us. And then we turned around because of office change. We're like, all right, we're going to leave it to Iran right now. And we left. In 2009, when the last piece of troops were leaving, that's when my family and I were like, it's really time to think it through. There's no more life for us here.
Yeah.
Because you knew the last sense of security is leaving.
Yeah, that was our military. When they left, you were no longer safe.
No.
So let me ask you a question. What was it like living there during occupation? Can you tell me like what a typical day would have been like?
Well.
Was it any different? I mean,
no.
And the reason I ask that question is because, like you said, we only get what the news and the media wants us to see. Yeah. So you see tanks and convoys rolling through certain areas of Baghdad. you literally get this weird little snapshot, but knowing what we know now about the news, fast forward from 2009, I don't believe anything we've been told, everything we've seen over the past, my life, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious what it was like living in Baghdad while the United States military was over there, like while you're under attack. Like what was it like as a child living there?
Well, as a child living there, we grew up in a war. So 1991, I was a child. I remember that war very clearly. Then in 2003, you have like a reminiscence of the life you already experienced. It's an experience you already been through. But it was more clear as a war. We were actually told they are not going to miss targets. They have their own targets to hit and
there's always collateral damage. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. War always has casualty. Yeah. I don't know why people cry over it. It's called a war. But then after war, the math that comes after, that's what you're not supposed to be forgiven for. War is war, period. Growing up in 2003, we were told what's up. So we were fine. It was 3 weeks where we stayed home. No schools, no work, no nothing. In advance, I have to mention this. We had food for oil, a program going on in Iraq since 1991, because we were boycotted by the whole universe probably, because of what dear Saddam did to Kuwait. So we were getting like food stamp equivalent. So he used to give us a monthly portion of everything per person. So each family will have that. So the difference is it's not a card you go buy whatever you want. You get the main basics, and it's like 11 or 15 things you get them per month. It didn't matter how rich or poor you were. Everyone had that. Before the war, Saddam decided to give people 6 months worth of supply of that. So he technically emptied all warehouses. Just in case the war lasts that long, he wins, he loses, it doesn't matter. So he decided to do that for people. That was really nice of him, as a dictator as he was.
It sounds very uncharacteristic of somebody who, the way the media portrayed him over here. I wouldn't expect to hear that.
If you ask me, even though I am here and I have much better life here and safer and all the above, I'm so blessed. I'm blessed to have my family here. I'm blessed to have a life here all together.
I feel blessed to have met you and know you, and I mean
Me
that.
too.
I'm being dead serious. Like
I mean it too.
I'm honored to actually have you here right now.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm glad you actually asked me, so I can at least have a better picture painted about everything where I come from. It's not all about the media. It's about someone who lived there.
And listen, you've been here long enough to know that the media, the news portrays the Middle East as you are consummately the enemy. Most of the issues in that part of the world are from the Middle. I personally believe that the issues around the world are perpetrated by leaders, governments, and it is all tied down to banking.
Yep.
I think that's really
It's
all
politics.
it is. And the rest of us are just trapped in the middle.
Yes.
That's how I feel anyway.
Honestly, it's just politics.
Yeah.
Living under occupation, the first 3 years were fine. We did not feel any much of a difference. You had sense of security. Yes, there were bombing here and there, but there was no Al-Qaeda, there was no ISIS, so it was fine.
I think it's insane that you just nonchalantly just mentioned, there's a bombing here and there, no big deal. Like, it's just...
I survived 2 wars and 1 civil war, so I have a lot going on there.
So guys, any potential suitors out there, she's got her shit together.
Just because I survived the war doesn't mean...
No, but listen, it says a lot that you can sit here and talk about this so openly, and you laugh, and it's I don't know another word. I feel honored that we're having this discussion, but it's sad that as a child you had to go through this. No human being should have to endure this. None.
No.
None. Literally none.
That's why when you said you wanted to join, I grew up in it. So growing up as a child, I saw war. 2003, I saw another war. And then 2005, I saw the third war, which was legit just civil war. Like, you get killed based on silly reasons. But I lived there. I was born there. I have different perspective. This is the country culture I was born into. When I used to see our troops there, I used to really feel heartbroken for them, because you signed up for something that way different than what you're doing right now, and that changes people forever.
Yeah.
So they had to go to a war. They were told something, and it happened to be. I had this conversation with about like 4 veterans that actually served in Iraq. Small world. And they would say, could you really tell me if the reason we went against Iraq was really the reason we went against? Like, could you clear the picture for us? Could you tell me how life was before? And then I would explain things. They would be like, see, that's why I feel like it was a waste of time when I did what I did then.
Yeah.
And be like, why? You served your country. It's like, yeah, but now I feel like I served my country, believe in something based on the media, what I was told, and then it's something else. It's not really the reason why we were there. What pisses me off, if we went as a country and we wanted the oil, we should have stayed there.
Yeah.
We should have invested in it. We should have fixed the country, not handed to Iran. That pisses me off so bad.
You know, I've heard, and again, this is, you know, I haven't looked too deep into this, but that we actually sit on a larger oil deposit on this continent than there is in the Middle East.
True.
So in that respect, why are we fighting anybody for oil? We shouldn't be. Why do we just knock down the pipeline?
Like we did, and we had very lovely prices.
Yeah, and they're slowly going up.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And you know what? You and I will still afford to pay. And I really think most of the liberals that live for free, and they live like in the free dream, I really want to see how they're going to refill their tanks. You know
what kills me is I look at the free dream, as you just called it, that the people living off the government's teat.
Yes.
It's no way to live. It's horrific. So when I had my own supplement store for years, and my segue into healthcare, into what I do now, is I took a job as a clinical caseworker, and I split my time. I worked with the homeless population, and then I also worked with homeless veterans coming back from overseas who had just essentially graduated from a detox program, and I was helping them get integrated back into society, get jobs in college and so forth. Yeah. And I saw firsthand how these people live on the government's dime, and you're scraping by with $750 a month, sometimes $700 a month, $208 a month in food stamps, like an EBT card. Yeah. You don't get anything for fuel. And once you get that, I mean, this is what a lot of people didn't understand. Once you get any type of government assistance, so you get subsidized housing. So you would live in the worst parts of this state, the armpit of Rhode Island, drugs, crime, you name it. Yep. And you got to give 25% of your monthly income for rent. So if you're getting $750 a month, you got to give $200 something, $187.50 a week.
That's not a way to treat our veterans.
No, that was drug addicts. The veterans, if you qualified, you went to a 2-year transitional house, and you had to follow rules, obviously, because they were recovering alcoholics and drug addicts. So I understand that. But these guys, it was horrific how little they were getting. It's no way to treat people who fought for this country.
No.
Let me ask you this. I'd love to get your perspective on this. In terms of chances, I saw firsthand how many chances fuck-ups got, whether they were military or non-military. How many chances people were given despite they just keep screwing up. What's your opinion on that? How many, not to say how many chances, but how much time and money? Let's just say, what would happen with somebody in that situation in Baghdad, as an example?
We don't have the same social programs there. No.
So what would happen?
Not after 2003, at least.
Yeah.
No.
So what would happen with your homeless population?
They stay homeless.
And that's it.
That's it. If you and I as individuals don't help a person out, there is no government program would help them out. Thanks to what's going on for 18 years, almost 18 years now. Yeah, if you're on the street, you're on the street there. There's no coming back from that. But over here, for chances, everyone deserves a chance.
Correct.
I think veterans, if you and I deserve one chance, the government helps us out, veterans deserve 10.
Yes.
And they are not getting that.
No, they're definitely not. No, and actually, didn't Biden just say he wants to start cut some of the VA? Like everything Trump did to build up the VA, he wants to start to make cuts to the VA.
Like they get anything, for God's sake?
Nothing. They get nothing. Have you ever visited a VA?
Yes.
All right, so you know. So I used to do a lot of court advocacy, and obviously when I took these guys to medical appointments, the VA, it's not like your regular hospital. People aren't there because they have the sniffles. They're not there because they have anxiety. These guys are there because they're missing limbs.
Yeah.
They have severe brain damage. They can't walk. They need prosthetics. They have PTSD where any type of loud noise sets them off. It's a scary environment when you go to the VA. It's not like, I don't think people who've never visited there really have a full understanding of what a VA is for and how imperative it is. A lot of these guys can't go to regular hospitals. They're not comfortable. You go to regular hospital.
They're not going to get the help if they go to a regular hospital.
No, they're not.
Not for what they are going through, at least.
Yeah, it's really sad. And again, this is why I wanted to talk to you, because I don't think people really understand anything. And again, you have your brothers in the Army. Hopefully he's healthy. He's never really had any issues, but it's just you want to know that for what he's doing, what he's representing in this country, you get taken care of when you get back.
I hope he will be taken care of. So that's the least I could say. That I hope he would be taken care of. But from what I've seen, the VA did not help him out the first round he sought help. With the house loan. They were like, no, you need to be next to the base you're serving, and his base was in Texas, and he's like, I live in Rhode Island, buying a house in Rhode Island, so what can you do for me?
It's odd.
They denied him because you're not buying where you're serving, and he had to put that away for a few years because he couldn't get qualified for a VA loan. And then next round he tried. Yeah, it was a process, but he got it. But this is not how we're supposed to treat them.
No.
Someone who served you, who actually, when they sign a contract, regardless how people say, yeah, well, you did it because you wanted like free college or so-and-so, it doesn't matter. At least you're paying for it. It's a prepay. It's a prepay. You're paying for it.
You're surrendering 4 years of your life.
And then if you get really rewarded with the free schooling, which is not really free because you serve for 4 years or 8 years of your life, it depends on what contract you sign.
It's down payment.
Exactly, and it's not a cheap down payment.
No.
And when it comes to them, I really get really sensitive when it comes to, because I have a veteran at home. Granted, we grew up in the environment we grew up in. We're fine. We're fine. But you have two modes as a person: survival and normal. We grew up in the survival mode, and for so long, we were just surviving. So when I said bombing here and there, because I didn't see much into it, because I was on survival mode.
Yeah.
The day I left Baghdad, that's a funny story. I had to leave. I couldn't get a visa to Jordan when I was working on my immigration paperwork. I had to move up north with my cousins for 2 weeks, and then I granted the visa. I went there. I stayed there for about 9 months. The first week I was there, they have a festival of light, almost like thing, and they do fireworks. And it's every Thursday. The first round I heard the fireworks, the PTSD kicked in.
I can imagine.
And I was calling my friend there, and I was like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I forgot to tell you. It's every Thursday at this like place they do fireworks. And I'm like, good God. Like, I left that behind me, and it's here. She's like, my bad. My bad. So, again, we grew up in that environment. It's fine. It's not really fine, but we grew up in it. You grew up here. You go shooting for fun. You didn't shoot to kill. You didn't shoot to survive.
No, you're right.
Right? So, a veteran did that to survive. When they come home, they don't have the means to put them back normal into the society.
You just have to stop. You have to shut off that survival mode and immediately become a normal functioning citizen. I can't imagine that it does. I'm fortunate to be friends with a lot of military guys, ex-military, current military, and it's a big thing. Like even just having a discussion with them.
Yeah. They never tell you the full story.
No, and I would never dare ask. But
Yeah.
it's the mannerisms. Like they view the world differently.
Yes.
It's in terms of I instinctually, for some reason, when Brianna and I go out to a restaurant, I'm looking for exits. I don't like having my back to a crowd. I don't know why. Maybe because I watch too many Steven Seagal movies. But I like to.
Funny you're saying that. I was gonna mention that. Like, have you went out with a veteran? If you go to the movies with a veteran, which my brother is one of them, they would never sit in the middle aisle.
No.
They have to have the last one, their back to the wall. And he'd be like, I can barely see the screen, man. What are you doing to me?
It's because their brain is trained to be prepared. You're at a heightened state at all times.
Yes.
And it's sad because I can't imagine going through life with that fight or flight never shutting off. Like you're constantly here. You're always prepared for the worst thing. I think it's a good way to look at the world because of the way we're trending. Like it's not a safe place right now.
No.
But I can't imagine what that's doing to your organs, your mind, your body, your central nervous system to constantly have that
skinny.
to have that constant heightened state of awareness.
It gets you stressed, and stress keeps you skinny. I'm not going to complain about that.
I need to get more stressed then. I saw that video of myself last night. I look like a caged gorilla next to that poor kid.
You're not, but I like the moves. You were so natural.
It's like I'd salsa dance before.
Yes. You kind of did it like a white guy, but...
Yeah, I looked like some guy from Staten Island who thought he could dance. That's what I looked like. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Go right ahead.
What I did is I looked up 2019 statistics, comparatively speaking, from the United States to Iraq. I just want to see if you can elaborate on these few things a little bit.
Go right ahead.
So in Iraq, you're 6.1 times more likely to die in infancy.
True.
Why would that be?
Lack of health care, to begin with, for any reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to war, if they wanted to control the population, it was a rumor, I'm not sure if it was an accurate thing, that if a pregnant woman or an infant child are born and they just don't want them to live, they get some kind of injection, and that was it. Yeah. And why now? Because there is almost zero health care provided to people. It's easy to die.
So this is something that's very interesting to me because obviously that I work in healthcare. So you've been here long enough. You understand where you get a job, you get healthcare. If you need to make an appointment, you call your primary care, you pay your copay, you get your prescriptions, you go to the pharmacy, you pick it up, and hopefully everything. Yes, hopefully everything's fine after that. Yeah. Walk me through that process growing up in Baghdad. 2 parts.
Again, before 2003, healthcare was really funded, because we had that program against, like, whatever we were providing with oil, we get benefits out of that. So before 2003, if someone gets sick, goes to the hospital, they get some kind of care, except for if they were not willing to treat someone. Even if you have to wait for like 3 to 6 months, eventually you'll get treated. Mm-hmm. It sucked at the end a lot. But after 2003, it's more of the private sector. Growing up, I never went to the hospital because you're not going to get treated and you're not going to get the outcome you want going there wasting like 6 hours of your day. So it was always a private doctor, even if you had the flu. Mm-hmm. But I'm lucky enough to be able to afford that, to go to a private doctor. Yeah. After 2003, same story, because I lived like, I was middle class where you can't afford things. Go to private sector. Hospitals were really sucky after 2003. Mm-hmm. There is nothing provided from the government, and the government's supposed to rule. The government's supposed to provide because it's controlling you. Mm-hmm. So no, nowadays people can walk on the street and drop and die, and there is nothing can be done for them. I blame Iran for that.
How so?
How so? A lot of reasons. First of all, they rule the government. Our government over there, I shouldn't say ours, because no. The government over there is loyal to Iran. Most of the people now in the Iraqi, I should call them regime, the Shia specifically, they lived in Iran longer than they lived in Iraq. And they fled Iraq because they were against Saddam.
So you have a lot of transplants in Iraq.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So they are just loyal to what Iran wants, Iran does. So even like when you need to get healthcare or you get to, even if you want to do plastic surgery, you can find a real doctor or a good doctor. Your best option would be going to Iran to get that done. So we're funding Iran to live the life they have now on our people's cost as Iraqis. That's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Second reason, we're giving them money. Even the U.S. we're giving them money. They fund whoever they want in terrorists.
We give them money. We gave them nuclear material, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we did.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's just a long list of things why Iraqis hate Iran. It's not all Iraqis. Most Shia people, because it's religion conflicted brains, they believe like, oh, well, we believe in the same thing. So, you know.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm a very recently spiritual person. I've never in my life followed any type of organized religion, and I still particularly don't. I have a very different relationship with God, so to speak.
Yep.
What were you raised to, what religion were you raised in, number one? And number two, has that changed at all throughout the course of your life?
I was raised as Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
So Islam has Sunni and Shia. Mm-hmm. My dad is Sunni. My mom is Shia. So growing up in our household, because of the difference, and they both were not religious people, we were not brought into religion. Yes, you have to know what God is, and you have to know what's up with the religion, but we never prayed, we never fasted, we never did anything that any Muslims would do. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, my friends, that when we were kids and their parents would force them to fast in Ramadan, which is a whole month, mm-hmm. you fast from like sunrise to sunset.
Yeah.
They used to come over to our house, have a lunch, and then go home and pretend that I'm still hungry. Yeah, my mom felt bad. She never forced us to do any of that.
I think it's a little crazy. I do. I really do. I don't agree with it. I think it's a little odd that you would do that to yourself. So my father-in-law, Brianna's dad, is a corrections officer. Yeah. So they have to amend their hours when Ramadan hits, and you have to you completely change your shift to prepare the food for everybody because their eating schedule changes. Yeah. So it's like this whole big undertaking. I just never really got that whole thing. I never really got the whole starving.
I never got that either. Like until today, I never got that.
I like food too much. I like food way too much.
I'm glad they never forced us to practice. Because that didn't change here. We became more spiritual kids than religious. I can sit here and argue religion with anyone because I had to study that in school, unfortunately, and I really sucked at it. I was really bad in religion and Arabic language.
I never liked religion. I never liked the way we were told. See, my thing is I'm kind of a nonconformist. Yeah. I don't like anybody or anything telling me how I should think and feel. Yeah. So I never liked anything. I never really paid attention to anything like that. That being said, there are some people that are raised in both of our cultures, who their parents force them to do certain things. I think when you force people to do things, you create animosity. Yes. And you create resentment. Yes. So I'm happy my parents didn't force that on me. Although my second year of confirmation, so when we got married.
How did that go?
I pushed my priest against the wall because he touched me when I was talking during CCD. He poked me in the chest in front of the class. So I threw him into the wall. So I got kicked out my second year. My mother came to pick me up, and he says, your son, they told him I couldn't come back the next year. Yeah. My mother says, don't put your fucking hands on my kid. You got what you deserved. Sorry.
That's true.
Yeah. So I never went back. So when we got married, we couldn't get married in church, which I hate churches. God, do I hate churches. So we had, the Nautilillo funeral home. Bobby Nautilillo, one of the children, he married us at the Crown Plaza. It was fantastic. I couldn't stand it. I did not want to go to a church.
You got what he wanted.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
If I had known back then that I wouldn't have to get married in a church, I would have punched him in the face. I would have just shoved him into a wall.
That's my one-way ticket. Buddy.
Yeah, I was happy. It was perfect.
Yeah. So. I love going to churches back home. Believe it or not, I grew up in a Christian neighborhood.
Really?
Yes. So there was no difference. Actually, New Year's and Easter and any special Christian holiday would have been a great time we're spending with them because they will make mad good food. Oh my God, do I miss the food? You asked me, what do you miss about your country? And I almost emailed you back saying the food, but I had to explain why. So I was like, let me wait till I tell him why.
Yeah, what I'm thinking now is we need to set up a night where I'll pay for the groceries. You have full access to the kitchen. We'll get
Make something.
Yeah, have you cook. We'll go get some. We'll go get some food. Maybe next Saturday.
Whatever you want.
We'll do it next Saturday.
I'm in.
We have a special guest next Saturday. It's not a show though. This is for private eyes. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what we should do.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that's good.
Whatever. Let's talk about it after we record.
Yeah.
And I'm in.
You're way into this right now. Look at you.
I am.
Poor thing. You were so nervous before.
It's called wine, and it really helps you.
So you finished that little, what is that, Prosecco?
Yes.
You finished that little bottle by yourself.
I'm glad.
I'm very proud of you.
I'm proud of me.
And then Brianna and I polished off that bottle of the Behringer Brothers you brought us. So, yeah.
Now I can say I finished the bottle because I cannot finish a adult size bottle, so that was a baby size.
It looked like something you would give to a middle school kid, but it was adorable.
I know, right? Well, when I was buying it, I was like, I cannot get an adult size.
No, you'd have to sleep over. We'll put you on the couch.
I honestly would have asked, like, can I just hang out till I'm sober before
Crash here. I don't give a shit. We got nothing going on.
I know.
My brother's in Florida. You get the basement.
Yay.
You got your whole. You got the. We got a kitchen downstairs.
Yeah.
You do whatever you want.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So where were we? Religion still?
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to ask you, what are some of the big misconceptions? Obviously, being here long enough, you realize the villainous nature we portray, our media portrays about Muslims and the Muslim religion. What are some of the big misconceptions? What are some of the things that maybe offend you in terms of how your religion is kind of perceived or talked about in this country?
Well, first of all, media did a great job ruining an image to make the U.S. altogether fearful of that religion.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in a religion that I was taught in school. So my perspective, I'm talking about me. I did not read extras at home. I had to read it because it's a school class you have to attend and you have to pass. We were not told to be extremists. We were not told to hate. We were told to, like, well, if you believe you're a Muslim and this is your religion, you have to believe in the other two books. Period. You have to believe in the people ahead of you and you have to live in peace with them. But we actually were going against Israel for some reason. So we were taught something in religion that you have to love and accept the two religions ahead of you, which is Judaism and Christianity, which is like you need to accept and live with that. But at the same time, in real life, politics was something else. That's one thing. The other thing, not everyone is bad. Not everyone is here to kill you.
Correct.
Not everyone here is to bomb you. And I had a lot of annoying comments as a joke. Oh, because you're from there or you're from that religion. Well, first of all, you have to know me as a person. If I was a practicing extremist, I wouldn't be drinking wine.
I don't think you would have taken this interview either.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, and this is again why I was so fascinated to do this, because I will be honest with you, you are the first individual. I'm 42 years old. You were the first individual in my life who was willing to talk about, and I'll say I am ignorant to the fact because I don't study my own culture, my own religion, things like that. So I've never really looked into everything I know, quote unquote, is what we've been told as citizens of this country. And given the last 4 years, I don't believe a goddamn thing we've been told about anything. No. So, and then from the first day we met you, you did not strike me at all. You were laid back. You were a little reserved at first. And
it's
I know
my first time going into a house full of people I don't know.
No, I know, but and then I know I'm like this fucking tornado of energy and bad jokes.
But I had so much fun with you that night.
And so that's why I felt comfortable that we could have this discussion. And I think it's important because I have listeners that go from here all the way to Singapore, Australia, United Kingdom, Ireland. I think it's imperative that people understand that. Just like we have violent groups in this country, the KKK, whatever it may be, this has to be the case throughout the rest of the world. Like, there are pockets of assholes,
Yes.
and then wonderful people like yourself who are just trapped there, and then you're just subjected to our naive beliefs
Yes.
and the fact that we just roll with what the news tells us. I didn't see that in you. I saw this sweet, kind, quiet. You were cool enough to laugh at my bad jokes, and I'm like, you know what? This girl's kind of cool, man. She's very sympathetically laughing. This is fun.
Maybe I enjoyed it. I can't remember it now, but maybe I enjoyed it.
I was half in the bag when you guys showed up, but then I said it to Brianna. I'm like, this girl's cool. I'm like, we need to spend more time with her. And I'm not just saying that because I immediately stalked you on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And for me to admit on my show that I stalked another female, and I'm alive to tell you this. No, I couldn't wait because I feel like you have probably suffered some unfair ridicule, unfair remarks, unkind remarks. And I needed people to know that what we see and have seen historically out of the Middle East is not a full representation of what that part of the world is like. And
FYI, I have to just throw this out. Baghdad especially is actually not a Sahara, and we don't have camels. And we don't live in tents. It's an actual civilized city.
Yeah.
And until some point, we had like movies, we had theaters, we had normal life you have here, there. But then you had war and the aftermath, and everything changed. But it's really not what you see on movies. Even when sometimes like they would do some scene like in Morocco, and they show them like they are in a tent and they still ride. It's not. No. It's really not. And it bothers me that a lot of people don't say, hey, let me Google how it looks like right now.
Thank you.
You can't believe everything you see on a movie. You can't believe everything you see on the news. You have to do your own work. And that what makes our country not so great, because a lot of people don't do their work. They just watch CNN and come after me for saying I voted for Trump.
Am I incorrect in saying that if the United States were to be attacked the way Baghdad has been, or the Middle East has been historically, am I wrong in saying that we would be no different than the Middle East if people continuously attacked us for our oil and our resources?
We won't. We're not united.
I guess it's a fair point. I didn't look at it that way.
Yeah, we're not united.
But if
we are united, we have a chance to fight. But if we're not united, we'll kill each other. And when the rise of like, oh, we're going to go to civil war after the election and whatnot, I was just thinking of it this way. And actually a friend of mine put it in this like exact wording. He said, let's think of it this way. If we kill each other because I'm right and you're left and we go at it, where are we going to stand as a country? And do you know how many other countries want to invade us and they can't? Mm-hmm. Where are armed forces going to be at? Are they going to be fighting with us, against us, trying to calm things down? Or are they going to be just busy trying to keep off people
it's a coin
trying
toss.
to
you don't
get
know.
in? So I'm looking at him like, you know what? You have a very valid point. Yeah, that's a camera.
No, so I have to keep checking the batteries because the batteries run. So we've been going for exactly 60 minutes. The batteries usually go for like 60 to 90 minutes because I let them charge all day. So if I peek off at the cameras, I'm literally just checking to see if because what I don't want to have happen is like there's two. So we probably got a half hour left in these batteries. I don't want one of the batteries, like the cameras, to go out when you're in the middle of telling a story. So if I look at the cameras, it's not that I'm not listening. I'm just making sure it doesn't cut you off.
I was just busting your balls.
I know.
That's a camera.
I know how attractive I am. I need to get how attractive you are on here. So I want to ask you this too. What do you want out of life from the time you were a child up until right now? And what I'm trying to establish is that we all have the same baseline.
Yep.
We all want the same things in life. So in the United States, as a child growing up, we go to elementary school, middle school, high school, and all that is to prepare you to go to college. You go to college. If you don't go to college, you go to the military, you go get a job, the workforce, whatever it may be. But the American dream is the pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. So that being said, you can go to college, you can go to the military, you can go into the workforce. All those three things lead to you meeting a spouse, getting a house, having children, raising children, living your life, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. How different is that from what you were taught as a child growing up? What were your hopes and aspirations as a child? That's exactly my point.
It's not the American dream. It's everyone's dream.
Thank you. And I hate that we call it the American dream, because most people immigrate here because we historically have been the country where you had the highest probability of accomplishing those things.
True.
So
that may still vary.
I think at this point in history, It definitely varies. I think there are several other continents, countries, whatever you want to refer to them as, who provide equal opportunities at this point. I don't think we're the powerhouse that we think that we are. I don't think we're I don't know that we may be in terms of military and so forth. But I think there's plenty of countries that are catching up to us in terms of what they offer in terms of a good life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But the American dream is basically everyone's dream. You work hard. I think it was called American Dream to pump the people up. When was it started?
You know what? Let's find out. That's a good question. Because I absolutely think you're right.
Wasn't it like around World War I, II, where they were trying to get people out of depression?
They're going to have to come back around with it again because people are getting depressed again.
We need to circle back.
Yes, I definitely think we do, because we keep making the same mistakes over and over again. The term American Dream was apparently invented in 1931 by James Truslow Adams. He was referring to the dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for every man, with opportunity for each according to his ability or achievements. So 1931.
Why was I right? And I wasn't even born
Oh, shit, right here. Cheers to being smarter than Americans.
Google. It's called Google.
The Google. That's what my mother-in-law calls it. The Google. All right, I'm going to ask you this now. Iraq in comparison to 2019, and the only reason I chose 2019 is there wasn't any data on this up until last year.
Okay.
You're 2.5 times more likely to be unemployed in Iraq than in
It's more than that.
You think it's higher than that?
I don't watch Iraqi news because it gets me depressed right away.
Like, do you still have family there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not immediate, but I do have cousins from both sides, my parents, and we happen to be a very large family. When I see the news, so my mom still watch whatever happens there. She has her own TV with the channels that she got used to back then. The thing about it, when I see that there's what you said, 2% chance?
It actually says 2.6 more likely.
No, it's more than 2.6. It's probably 16 or 18 more than we would think it's actually there, and they're not giving you a real number.
Shocking. They do the same thing here.
Right?
Yeah.
So no, the unemployment, it's up the roof. It's more of if you know someone in a party or a leader or a governor or someone who works in the government, you're not going to get a job. I got a job because I was lucky and I didn't work for money. I worked for fun. And it happened to be that my sister worked for the Iraqi government at the time, and her boss was really caring, and I wasn't going through nice time at the time. Then he offered me like, let's start with a part-time job or a contract. It wasn't a part-time, it was a full-time, but a contract. And it was just for me to get out of the house so I get used to life because of whatever I was going through back then. So you have to know someone before you get a job or get employed by the government. And most jobs over there is basically government jobs.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you have? What types of jobs could you get over there? Is it any different than what you could do here?
Are you asking me what I did there?
No, I'm just saying,
what
like in terms of like the job market, like, you know, obviously you have a pretty good awareness of what we have here. It's
different than here, totally, because you still have the man and woman thing. So whatever I am capable to do here as a woman, I cannot do over there as a woman. You still have the cultural difference.
Do me a favor, explore that a little bit. I'm really curious because I think.
Yeah.
Just my opinion, and I think you agree with this on some level, the masks and all the bullshit we're going through right now, I think it's a control mechanism.
Yep.
I don't think the masks actually stop the virus. I don't think they do anything.
I have a good story for you.
Please enlighten me.
So since we're Iraqis, and since I probably have 2 more people left as a friends live in Baghdad. Everyone else had to flee at some point. So I have 2 friends that live in let me remember correctly, Sweden. And both of them stated when this whole thing started, the government actually announced, you don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to do whatever you're doing. We're not doing lockdowns. You live your life normal. If you feel you're sick, here is a number, national number. You call this number, tell them you're not feeling well. You're going to stay home for 14 days and they're going to give you 80% of your paycheck. So my friend was telling me bars were open, gyms are open, life is normal. The only thing we started to practice is the social distancing. Mm-hmm. And he got COVID and he called that number, which starts by 800. I don't know. So he called that number. They got to him, fill up the paperwork. He stayed home for 14 days. His mom needed to go to the hospital because she didn't do well. Again, you call that number saying, I can't breathe. They come take care of you. Do I believe in masks? No.
I don't either.
Do I wear it just in case? I have to.
Yeah.
I have my parents. They are both in age. I care for them. I'm worried about them, which I haven't hugged in a very long while. Because they are both with like diabetes and heart problems. I don't want to risk it for a biscuit. As a person, I don't care. I do trivia every Thursday. We sit on one table even when we were in lockdown, and they would say, there's like 10 of you on one table. We're like one household.
We were fine.
We're fine. None of us got it.
Yeah. I've been around a bunch of people with it. I haven't caught it.
Yes. I'm not anti-vaccine, but I need to know what's in it. I need to see the side effects. Mm-hmm. My brother had it. He was fine. My friend had it. She fell sick after the second dose. So apparently it depends on your immune system, how it works.
I think it's a blood type thing too. Although they say it could sterilize you. So.
Not worried there.
I think there's a bunch of people that could give it to. I'm not. So.
We'll see how it goes. I kept on checking. When my brother said, I'm going to get it the first round, I'm like, even if you're twitching next day, I still love you. And he's like, that's not nice. Like, I had to go that route. I'm sorry. I really did say that to him.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of vaccines. The 3 years in a row that I got the flu vaccine, I had this 3 years straight, this horrific respiratory virus for like 6 weeks afterwards.
Ouch.
That just went away like overnight. But I was coughing and wheezing, couldn't breathe for over a month. I don't do it. No.
When I came here, so I'm not sure if you know what the process. Well, I came here legally as an immigrant.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to come here as a legal immigrant.
How bad was that process, by the way?
It varies. It varies from one person, one case to another.
Really?
Yes. I was lucky. I was really lucky all around because my family was already here. And by the time I applied for my own case, my family were here on green cards, and they were actually contacting the senator of Rhode Island, which I think it was Reed at the time. They were like, she's trying. Working in Baghdad had me with good relations with people that officers worked in the American embassy back there.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
So they kind of helped my case a little bit. But I was told, if you stay in Baghdad, your case is not going anywhere. You need to move to Jordan and move it from there. And compared to other people, I took 9 months, all in all, and that was really quick.
Really?
Yes. But it wasn't hard. All they need to do is fingerprints, background checks, security checks, clearance.
A vetting process.
Normal. I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I'm not against if I see what they did and they got me here and here I am a good citizen, I would actually feel safe that you're doing it to every single person that's coming in. That they went through the same process I went through.
Correct.
Then I'm fine with that. No problem. Just come in here legally. I think
it makes me nervous when people have a problem with it. Like they don't want you to look into their past. That makes me a little bit nervous.
You have to.
Yeah.
Why I'm here? I didn't have anything back with Saddam's regime. I didn't have anything after Saddam's regime. Not me, not my family. We all have good clearance. Then my brother had a top secret clearance, which I probably shouldn't say that. But
nobody knows who he is.
Yes, but that's true.
Nobody knows who he is.
Nobody knows his name either. Nope. We don't share the last name either.
No, when he's top secret, how would I know him?
Good point. But the point is that when you get to that, you feel safer.
Oh, yeah.
If you did this to me or doing it to everyone else, I feel safer. I don't want to come into the airport and see myself like maybe a legit person, like a not a very illegal, but a legit to get in. And I brag about how I pass customs and everything, and look at me, I'm in here, and you don't know anything about me, you don't know my past. And I don't care which part of the whole world you're coming through, whether it's South America, which we have a lot of problems there, whether it's the Middle East, which we have a lot of problems there. You don't know. You need to know who you're bringing in. You really need to know.
And look at the vast majority of people sneaking over the border through the southern part of the country right now.
Yeah.
You have drug dealers, human traffickers,
Yes.
rapists, people who are leaving certain, whether it's Mexico, South America, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
They're fleeing here for a reason. If they were flourishing and they were successful in what they were trying to do, they would stay where they are.
Yeah.
They're coming here for a reason. Whether it's good or bad, that's up to us to determine. But without that vetting process, you don't know who you're letting in the country.
And did you know that like blue states are more common to receive illegals and provide them with all the care, and they actually like
they seek it out. Sanctuary cities.
Someone from Guatemala said a friend of his told him if he comes to the United States, which state he has to go to so he gets full benefits, even if though he was illegal. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, they're if an illegal immigrant comes to Rhode Island, because we're a sanctuary city, Providence is a sanctuary city, all they have to do is hook up one of the organizations.
Yeah.
You can apply for housing, food stamps, health benefits, a bus pass for transportation, and then that is how you get the new American dream.
I apologize. I came here legally. I didn't get any
apologize.
of it.
Nothing to do. It just...
It's sarcasm in a very indirect way. Like, I came here and nothing was provided for me or my siblings or my parents. We came here as immigrants, and when you come as an immigrant, you are on a different program altogether.
Yeah. Trust me, I've worked with people who've come here legally, illegally.
Yeah.
So I know the difference, and it's insulting how hard you had to work to do things the right way in comparison to someone who did it illegally, came here, hooked up with some desperate woman just to, hey, as soon as you start getting mail at an address that's legally your address, you can claim squatters' rights.
That's it.
Now you're there. Then you have a kid. That's it. You can stay.
Funny you said that. So I am 35, and I was asked many times, how come I don't have a child? And I answered directly, because I'm not married. I don't believe in this before that. They were like, oh, do you know how much in tax returns you're going to get if you are a single mom? And I'm like, what? I was educated about it from a few friends, and not they were telling me go get pregnant, but they were telling me what benefits you can get. I looked at it and I'm like, it's really against me and my values and everything I stand for. But if I work 40 hours, sometimes 45 to 50 hours a week, and then I pay full taxes for everything, and I pay for my own meals, and I pay for this and that, $6,000 or $4,000 in tax returns is nice, right? Because this is not what I'm getting as filing for my taxes as single.
Correct.
Claiming not. So I'm looking at it as a business, and that's when I clicked. Is that why a lot of people have like baby mamas, and the baby mama has like 4 or 5 kids? It's a business, for God's sake.
Well, and the sad thing is they're born into it, and it's a lifestyle that's all they know.
How could you?
Well, the other thing too is you are incredibly well put together. Okay, so let's just.
I appreciate that you see that.
No, let's just run down this. You're very well cultured. You have a good job. You take good care of yourself. You're an attractive female. You wear nice clothes.
It's the wine.
Is it? Is it too dry?
Yeah.
You did eat you did drink the whole baby bottle. Yeah.
I can now claim I had a whole bottle. I'm not going to say the size.
No, just say you drank the bottle.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it on first dates, but just you could say it. You want to watch me drink a bottle of wine?
I cannot lie on a first date, because even if I say I can kill a bottle after 1 glass, I'd be like, hey, what's up? All right, sorry. We go back to you.
So I'm just pointing out all your attributes. Now, the point I was making is you have a good job. You come from a good family. You have morals. You have personal values, ethics. You take care of yourself. You dress nicely. You have a nice car. Your appearance. You are from top to bottom. You are what somebody would want to lock down, so to speak, and marry and build a life with.
Thank you.
Now, on the flip side of that, in order to attain that $6,000 a year in tax returns, you'd be foregoing all that because you would have to live at a poverty level and have your hand out to the government. Like, so
No.
in reality, is it worth it?
I think
The
it's
life
that
you
you
have-
have a dignity.
Thank you. Is it worth living in a certain way 364 days a year? So on the 365th day, you can get one check.
No.
It's not worth it.
No.
Think about what you couldn't do. You'd never be able to own your own house. You'd never be able to, you shouldn't be able to afford a car. And if you can afford a car, then you don't need to be on public assistance. So that would disqualify you.
Yep.
So now you're taking public transportation. You don't have money to go shopping, buy clothes, get your hair done, manicure, pedicure, whatever it is that you do as a civilized, successful female now. All that goes away for one check.
No.
It's not worth it.
No, it's not.
No.
It's a good joke to laugh at. Sometimes I tease my mom and I go and say, "Hey, if I'm a single parent, I can get that much." And she honestly, the first thing she would say, not even a joking manner, she'd be like, "What about your dignity?"
Yes.
That's the first thing you should say.
And then not for nothing, you literally your family immigrated from a country where you were so reliant on the government.
Yes.
You really want to step right back into that ring here? No. And look, and I'll say this. I've never lived outside of the United States. But from everything we've discussed, and I'm just going to take what you've told me as truth, forget everything else everything else I've learned living here for this long. I would much rather go to work every week because there's a sense of accomplishment when you get up, you go, you contribute to something.
Purpose.
Yes.
You feel your purpose.
Yes.
You feel your needs.
Now, take everything you normally do out of the equation. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you no longer have a car. Now you got to go to a bus pass. You don't have a job, so you have no purpose throughout the day. Okay, you can't afford the nice quality clothes you have on. You can't afford that nice hairdo, the earrings.
I did that. What do you mean I can't afford that?
But I'm just saying, so all these things that make you can't do anymore.
I cannot live under a pre-planned paycheck knowing. Continue.
But then on top of that, okay, forget the fact that you already have that dignity and that self-respect for yourself. Now you have no purpose, no money, no value, no goals, nothing you're working towards. Now you get depressed. Now you get anxiety. Then you want to drink to drown out your emotions. Alcohol becomes whatever. Now you got to step it up to something else, and now you got a drug problem. Like, it's this snowball effect, and that's what we're breeding right now. That's what, to me, that's what this administration and everything that's happened outside of the scope of what Donald Trump is trying to do. This is what they're touting and promoting because they want everybody reliant on them and what they're offering.
And
that's
know
scary.
what that reminds me of?
Yes, Saddam.
Where I came from. All right. Growing up, if you had anxiety, no, nothing's done about it. If you had depression, nothing's done about it.
So there's no pharmaceuticals to give you anything like that?
You're not built to go talk about it. It's not even talked about.
Really?
Yes. We are like, who should I compare us to? Maybe Russians or like Eastern Europeans, Italians.
So it's just something you don't talk about?
You don't talk about anxiety. Like, if you go tell your parents, I have anxiety, they look at you. I'm not going to diss them for it as a culture because it's not really implanted in our culture for parents to cater to that. Oh my God, you have anxiety. What am I supposed to do? No. You go say, I have anxiety. They would be like, kind of like, suck it up and move on.
Yeah, the way it should be.
There is pills if you seek pills, but it's never been the answer. Now, again, I have to compare my life before and after 2003. Before 2003, that was the case.
You might be good luck. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. That battery, this one's got 1 bar left. Really? They never last this long. This is good. The camera likes you.
I'm a photogenic. That's what I've been told.
That makes one of us.
Someone is drunk and said that. Anywho, but we're not raised into relying on alcohol and pills, period. I'm not talking about the younger generation after the war. They probably not even just having alcohol and pills. They're probably having like morphine and heroin and things like that to help them out coping with life now. They didn't grow up the same life I grew up in. Maybe that made my generation even stronger. Like I said, bombing like it's, fireworks.
Nonchalant.
Oh
yeah.
my God. So that's that. Over here, yes, the government wants you to rely on this, and that, providing you this, and that. Now, again, Steve, we had oil against whatever the government.
So that was your collateral. Yeah.
Yeah, it was paying for everything, whether it's good or bad. Over here, we're not touching the oil. We're not touching natural resources. We're not touching anything. But how are we going to pay for the free?
So you want to know my theory on this? I'm glad we brought this up. So this is my theory on why we don't want to use our own resources in this country. I think the United States government wants to exhaust the rest of the world's resources.
I'm fine with that.
So everybody is reliant on us.
I'm fine with that.
That's what I think.
But there is a point where you need to care for your people.
Correct.
You have 100% need. Get 50% from the Middle East, and you provide the other 50%. The gas prices will not go to $4.99 a gallon again.
What does gas cost in the Middle East?
Cheap.
Because you have it.
We have it. But again, before the war, it was very cheap. It was like 50 cents or less for a gallon. After the war, it was hard to get.
Yeah.
Because everything was actually exported to Iran. Like literally.
Shocking.
Yeah, that's why when you said Iranian, I'm like, oh my God, you didn't just say that. The last person said that to me was at work, and I had to turn around and look at him dead face, and I said the FU word, and he looked at me and he said, excuse me, and I said, yeah, excuse you, I'm not Iranian.
So, yeah, I made the mistake because we've talked.
We talked about it once.
Well, you've mentioned
at the party.
Well, that and then on a couple of social media posts, you would put stuff up about Iran, and then for some reason it just stuck in my head that like, okay, this girl really doesn't like where she's from.
Kill my people.
What? Listen.
I'd like to nuke Iran. We all thought Trump gonna do it as a goodbye action.
What about he was in office for 4 weeks and he dropped that 21,000-pound bomb in the Middle East on the Taliban?
Oh my God.
That was awesome. That was our biggest.
He did so much for this country. I'm an outsider, and
we don't realize it.
I see it, and I voted for him for a reason again. And he did so much for this country as an American. He didn't go as a politician, left or right. He just did. You're like you and I, and on a bigger, more important person, which is him, and he got to be a president. He really did so much for this country. And
people just don't realize it.
No.
Because they watch the news, and the news, it just vilifies him.
Yes.
Because he's exposing them as well.
It's the same way in 9/11. When it happened, let's blame Iraq. Let's go like after Iraq. Guess what? There was 0 Iraqis on any of those planes. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
So the media makes you believe what they want you to believe. Actually, there is a I think it's 60 Minutes. It's no. I'm not accurate on this one because my sister used to watch it. It's every day 7 o'clock. And Diane Sawyer used to do it. Diane Sawyer comes out, she's like, well, expecting the gas prices will go up. Bet you next day the gas price is going up. I'm like, are you giving them a code? What the hell? So media is actually manipulating us. They are telling us what they want us to know. And not for anything, even Middle Easterns don't watch CNN.
It's garbage.
They tell you like they used to tell us like an explosion happened in Baghdad. You go and see the coverage on every other channel, and you would see one thing on this channel, other thing on that channel, then you see it magnified on CNN and how many. You'd be like, wait, I just drove by it and there's only like one person dead. How come you're saying like it's a gigantic thing happened?
They're trying to get ratings and viewers and people engaged. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I tend to look at everything we see in this world is a sales pitch. Everyone's trying to convince you that they're right, that you should view them, watch them, follow them. Yep. Look, me meeting you and asking you to do this show is a sales pitch. I was trying to convince you that this would be a cool thing, but
it's my honor.
No, but what I'm saying is like everything is a sales pitch. Yes. The news, the media is no different. Yeah. What you're seeing is bullshit impeachment, which, by the way, toast to Donald Trump. He's 2 for 2 in impeachments. Can I get it? Amen.
Amen.
How funny?
A woman.
A woman. A whatever. How funny is that that news broke right before we got on the show?
I know, right?
Fucking perfect timing.
There's no way you can go after him for that. Like, this is really like legit illegal. That happens in third world countries. If that happened, listen, the way I look at the election, how it's been stolen, and I kept saying that to everyone. It's like, dude, that shit happens in Iraq.
And it happens in Iraq because you guys used to use Dominion voting systems too, from what I understand.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You vote for someone that, like Ayad Alawi. Ayad Alawi used to be in Ba'ath Party back in the day, and he is a very capable guy, and then he decided to run, and he won. Then they came up with like whoever wants most votes as majority, they get to form the government altogether. He lost that way, and I voted for him. I shouldn't say that now.
That's okay. I promise you, nobody knows who the hell it is
I know,
anyway.
Right? Yeah.
Somebody's
Especially
gonna know.
with name change, nobody knows who I am.
It's irrelevant.
Irrelevant, yeah. But a guy like him is just like Donald Trump. He won the election, and then they came up with another fake thing, and they were like, oh, well, the majority will do so and so, and then he lost, and then he eventually said, you know what, I'm quitting. I'm not even going to run to be a prime minister because I won this, and then you guys twisted it to what works for you. Ta-da!
So you can see the same thing happening over here?
It's happening. Yeah. That's happening. Gun control is happening. Growing up with guns, my dad was in the Iraqi military. And you get granted a couple of guns and they are registered. If you want to buy a gun, you have to go to a third party registered. That's what we talked about earlier, and that's what's happening over here.
So listen, I need to make a thumbnail for this YouTube video. I can take a picture from this while we're talking, and I could do a snapshot and one of the whatever. Or I could take a picture of you holding my AR-15. What would you rather do?
I'll hold it.
Yeah, now we're talking. All right, listen. Yeah. We're going to take a break because I got to change batteries.
Okay.
Those cookies were good, huh?
Very. She's really a good cook.
You have no idea. What did she make that day at Chris's house? It was like a peanut butter thing? Was it peanut butter chocolate or something?
It was the cake, the birthday cake.
Yeah, it was peanut butter something.
Something. It was so good. I had 2 pieces.
That was good.
I had to take one and pretend that, thank you. I went back to the second one. No one was watching.
So, what are you going to make next week?
What do you guys want?
No.
Yeah.
Don't tell us. Just make it.
I was told...
I've never eaten Iraqi food before.
Well, here's the thing. I make a very mean lasagna, but
Really?
It's the Middle Eastern style.
What's the difference?
Not ricotta cheese.
What do you use?
Bechamel sauce.
Ooh, she makes a phenomenal bechamel sauce.
That's why it kicks so much flavor into the food, and I've been known to be asked to bring that lasagna.
You want to make a lasagna for next week? So next week we're doing what? What's happening next Saturday?
I thought we were going to talk about it and plan it. Are we planning it now?
Let's plan it on air.
No.
All right.
Too private, man.
Oh shit, where's my phone?
I hope you didn't,
Bree! Can you bring me my phone?
Depends on where you left it.
I don't remember bringing it out there.
Because we have a few more questions to go through.
You are awesome at this, by the way.
Thank you.
You should legit have your own podcast.
Absolutely not. I'll go through a lot of wine. And by the way, 2020 and the election, I consumed so much alcohol in my life at the end of 2020 than my whole freaking life. Kid you not?
That was a stressful couple of months. I don't know where I left it. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
You're not even going to say hi to the camera?
No.
Fine.
I'm not prepared. You're gorgeous. You're always gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
You can use the line, but you're gorgeous.
All right. So we need to break because, like I
Yes.
said, the batteries go. In terms of comparing the United States to Iraq, it says here you are more likely to die 8.14 years sooner in Iraq. I would just equate that back to the...
I feel like my soulmate got killed at some point because that much of the death rate is up there.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's either health, either security, like how it is right now, or it was. Between war, after war, explosions, ISIS, civil war. So yes, it's more than that. That number, multiply that by maybe 2 or 3 now.
Really?
Yes.
You know, from what we see on the news,
Yeah.
you get the American, the military convoys going down the street. They have IUDs on the side of the road, or IEDs, whatever it is. Isn't IUD like a birth control? Did I say that wrong? IUD's birth control, isn't it? I don't think they're putting birth control on the side of the road.
No, I think it is IUD.
Which one's IED?
Is it IED?
I don't know.
Let's
One of
not
them is birth
Google
control.
Because it's more fun that way.
This is, I'm definitely not cutting this out because now we're talking about explosions or contraceptives on the side of the road. So what is it like just driving around, like commuting around? Like, was that something you had to be wary of as well? You did?
Yes. And multiple times where we actually were either before or after it happening that it goes off because they time what time the mission is out. So I'm not sure, maybe your veterans will know, but they have missions every day and they have it maybe in certain time or a different schedule. So if you have some insider that works in that camp can tell Al-Qaeda or any kind of terrorist organization they relate to what time this mission is at, they will implant that on the side of the road. It doesn't matter if it's going to explode on Americans or Iraqis, but they will actually do it. So if they missed that mission, they will let it off, set it off on whatever is driving after. Have I seen it? Yes. Have I seen people get killed out of it? No, not really.
Yeah.
They tried to, it wasn't that strong to kill. It was more to damage and scare off. That's when I was there. It is true though. We, like as our troops used to actually be on the road. And that's why I keep saying we can't say thank you enough for the veterans. We can. You're taking a person from a full safe environment. Now I know how American life is. It's completely different. And then you take them from this safe bubble into the real nasty world. And then you expect them to know what to do. And most of them are young kids. And then you expect them to know what to do. And then you bring them back and you expect them to be normal.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not the case.
To go from normal to that environment where you're worried about being blown up on the side of the road and then come right back to this and just like that, just forget everything and just go back to normal.
It's not a switch.
No, I don't think that it is.
It's not.
It can't be. It's like you take a trained fighter, like somebody who's been boxing or fighting their whole career. You put them out in public and if a situation arises where they would historically use their hands, they're going to use their hands. You can't expect them not to.
Excuse me.
So how about this one? This one really stands out. This one says in Iraq you would make 86.5% less income than you could here in the United States.
Correct.
Explain that.
First of all, the Iraqi currency is not as strong as the dollar.
What would a dollar be worth in Iraq right now? Well, roughly.
$100 worth, and then you can do the math because I really suck at math.
I'm good at numbers.
I do numbers all day.
That's okay.
That's why. But $100 is 120,000 Iraqi dinars.
Wow.
Dinars. So the dollar is 120 dinars. That's how strong the dollar is against the Iraqi currency. So, and that's good. Back in Saddam time, it used to be the $100 used to be 400,000 Iraqi
so
dinars.
It's leveled off a little bit.
It came down a lot.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So for an Iraqi person to make good, decent money, what was the percentage?
This says 86.5% less in Iraq.
Yes, it is. It is accurate.
Yet again, how spoiled we are over here. But then again, what's the difference in cost of living?
Not much. You know why? Because over here, if I'm paying $100 for electricity for a whole month, I'm actually saving. Because back in Baghdad, you did not have. So let me explain this. Since we rely on the government a lot over there, you have electricity and water and sewage and everything else paid for by the government, and you pay percentage. It's very cheap. But after the war, that all went away. You still have sewage and water, but you don't have electricity. So my bill to have 24 hours electricity meant I had to have at least 4 to 5 generators that you have to buy your own fuel for and maintain and do whatnot. And you have your own schedule because you're not going to see electricity. It comes in an hour or 2 hours a day. Compared to Saddam's time, we used to have it 22 hours a day.
So you were better off financially when Saddam was in power.
The guy was really awful, but if you compare the before and after, before wins.
Let me ask you a question then. Now, when we went over to Iraq, they did this massive thing looking for weapons of mass destruction.
I don't think we had it.
I was going to say, we never found them.
I don't think we had it.
That was a big thing. So do you think that Saddam was falsely painted as this? Well, let me back this up. I'll just take one story in particular that I heard.
Okay.
That one of his sons, after the Iraqi soccer team lost the game, he tortured and executed some of the players on the field.
True.
That's true.
Yes. They used to win out of fear, not being
Competitive.
competitive. That's the word. Thank you.
So they play for their life.
Yes. Because if you're not winning, that means you're going to get punished when you go back home. It is true. They were not the best people out there. His oldest son would drive around the neighborhood, and if he see a girl that he liked, he will just take her, regardless of what's up. And he had that privilege of doing whatever he wanted and get away with whatever it was because he was his son, the president's son. No one can touch that.
So he took good care of the people, but also manipulated and tormented you.
He did not take good care of the people, but he did better job than what's going on now. So if you compare the worst to the very, very worst, of course you're going to go what was worse for you than where you are right now.
Yeah.
He did torture people. I'm not going to say... my friend actually... Because I was nervous. I talked to my girlfriend this morning. I said, I'm kind of nervous. And she's like, you're really biased. You don't really care. You're Kurdish, but you talk about Kurds. You say what's right, what's wrong. And I think you're going to do a fair job. So what he did, yes, he did torture people. He did kill people based on ethnicity, based on religion, beliefs, and whatnot. He did go against anyone that was against him, as a dictatorship would do. You know, that's how it is. Not gonna sugarcoat it. But did he provide a little bit more than what's been provided right now? Yes. Do people wish that he wasn't killed? And he was hanged, so people wish that he wasn't hanged and they could bring him back. It's that bad.
It's that bad over there right now.
Over there right now, yeah.
Can you name some of the similarities you see between Joe Biden and Saddam Hussein? Or can you fairly make any comparisons?
I can. It's not just because of I supported Trump. I supported Trump for reasons I have for my own. But first of all, he's been signing these executive orders since he got in office. Like by himself, he feels like, I'm going to sign that many today. Guess what? Saddam would do the same thing. And he doesn't even have to sign. He would just say, I'm thinking that I'm going to make people starve for a month. And people would starve for a month. Or there's no electricity for a month. And the whole city will be dark for a month. It is the same. It's more like the same thing in a different version. He's not as bad yet.
Yet is the key word, because to me, he strikes me, what he's done so far is a little boy who figured out that you can burn ants with a magnifying glass.
Yes.
That's what it feels like.
Yes. And honestly, I don't feel like he knows what he's doing. I think he lives in his own little bubble.
Correct.
And whoever is next to him would say, you need to sign this. And he would just like, of course I would.
Yeah.
Good job, Biden. Here's a cookie.
He's a complete puppet right now.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what it feels like anyway.
That's why they had him there.
So do you want my theory on what we're experiencing right now?
Go ahead.
I believe that, especially more so after, I know your glass is empty, it's okay. Even after Trump won his second impeachment, I believe that Biden and everyone else are playing a role. They've already been informed of what's coming. Trump is coming back. And what we're seeing right now is everything that Trump held back for the past 4 years. I feel as though we're being taught a lesson in how bad things could and were going to be had Trump not won the election. Perhaps we're naive. Maybe we're just being overly optimistic, but in no way, shape, or form is he or has he acted like a president to date. You don't see him. He hasn't left the country. I don't know that he's left Washington.
You know what they call the wall around the White House and whatnot in D.C.? They call it the green zone.
Really?
I worked in the green zone. Yes. And that's when you have T-walls everywhere, security checks and metal detectors and things like that.
That looks like a detainment zone, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. It looks like they're being held there. You know, I had made the prediction that when the inauguration took place, I said, whoever goes to Washington that day is not leaving. And I haven't seen I haven't seen, and nor have most people seen, anyone who went to the inauguration that day. The 12 people that were there.
Yep.
No one's seen them outside of Washington.
Nobody knows where they are even.
Thank you. Nobody, you've seen them on television and this and that, but nobody has physically seen any of these people anywhere in public. I find that incredibly fascinating.
I'm just hoping for the best.
I hope so too.
I believe Trump needed the next 4 years. If he really got to be in the office again, he would have done such an amazing job, and he would have done another good 4 years for the people of this country. But now I think we're going to have 4 bad years of Biden, so people can appreciate what they missed out on, what happened.
It's scary to think that the real reality is that he could be here for another 4. Like he could do the 4 years just as a way to show us, because from what we understand, what I understand and what I've read is that the plan was to do, it was a 16-year execution of the country, so to speak. You had 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Hillary Clinton, and then we would have been fully transitioned over.
That's what it takes.
Yeah. You have 16 years of dictator style.
Yep.
So I call them like the Jade of politicians, like this smooth operator. I'm here to help you. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But behind the scenes,
You're not.
I blame Obama for inciting all the racism. This goes back to Ferguson, Missouri.
Yep.
I blame them for everything because you didn't stop any of this.
Yep.
You put your stamp on it and you promoted it. But everybody blames Trump.
I've seen it twice. I've seen their policies implanted in Baghdad and Iraq altogether, and Middle East after. And I know how they work because I've seen it. I cannot sit here and say you're wrong about Hillary, you're wrong about the left. You're not. And what they are doing now is more like on a smaller size of how much damage they can do, because they still have us, the conservatives, the very, very far right, people who would actually not mind carrying a gun and say, no, you're not going to do this to my country. I love my country.
Yeah.
So they are trying to do these, as you said, 16 years, 8 and 8, and that's how you brainwash everyone. You change the constitution, you pack the court, you do whatever you want, and then eventually people like you and I would be like, what are we doing next?
Yeah.
Which state we have to move into now? Like,
and that's what it is. You start to retreat to find common ground with common people. And I said that to Brianna too. I said, if this stands, if this continues, we will absolutely, like South Dakota is the first state to actually pass. They filed legislation. They're trying to pass a bill where they're completely disregarding every executive order of Joe Biden. They are not acknowledging his executive orders as the president.
I can see us moving there.
So I said it to Brianna. I'm like, if this is the case, goodbye. I have no problem going and starting over. I've fucked my life up a couple times. I have no problem starting over. It's not a big deal.
As much as I hate starting over, if things get really, really, really bad up here,
get out of the Northeast. The Northeast is a cancerous area.
I know.
It's miserable here. It's expensive. It's old.
We kind of settled.
Yeah.
As a family, we kind of settled here. So even moving from one house to another, I'm like, I don't really want to do this anymore.
Listen, you take your family, I'll grab mine. We'll go get some open fields out and we'll sell the cars. We'll ride bisons to work in South Dakota. It'll be fantastic. We'll get some saddles. It'll be awesome.
Deal.
So actually, this is crazy.
Which one?
This one says you would spend 97.4% less money on healthcare in Iraq.
Because it's different. So I'm paying for my health care regardless. My company good point. My company used to pay full coverage for any employees and any employee. And then when Obamacare kicked in, the rates changed. So they gave us a certain amount of raise to pay for that. And after that, they couldn't compete against that. Now I'm paying significantly every week towards my health care. So whether I use it or not, I'm paying towards it. Why is it cheaper over there? If I'm not in need to go to see a doctor, I'm not going to go see a doctor. When I go see a doctor, is it going to be costly? Yes. Am I going to be able to afford it? It depends on which
what
level.
The need is,
Yes. What's the need? What kind of work I do? If my family can support me, things like that. Because family over there is different than over here. You stick to your family stick to you no matter what. And they will always help you, provide you, and care for you. So even if he's like a guy and he's married and he has his own life together and he doesn't live at home, and if he needs help, the family will kick in. That's why you can afford it. A lot of families would sell everything to help out one person.
You know what's funny is you see this country trending that way because of the cost of healthcare, buying a house, maintaining a house. You see a lot more families across this country living together again.
Yes.
You do, because it's a more affordable and a more sensible option to get through. So it's not. And again,
in my case, it's culture.
but again, this is another thing that it looks like we're trending towards
that
other countries.
Yes.
Yeah. What was the next one? Use 86.5% less electricity.
Because you provide for yourself.
Generators.
Generators.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Actually, this one's interesting. You'd be 80.95% less likely to go to prison.
True.
So to me, that sounds like either. Sorry, I'm not playing footsie.
No, you're not. Okay.
But although
I just got kicked, but okay.
I don't normally kick females. Just FYI.
First.
Unless I was a transgender fighter, then it would be acceptable.
Then you win and it's fine.
So when I see this, that 81% less likely to be in prison, I think of one of two things: that the punishments are really harsh if you were to break the law significantly, or prison isn't really an option and you may just get executed.
No. Let me clarify that.
Please.
For a person to end up in prison, and even if they were like ISIS related, and if they can bribe their way out of it, they're gonna get out of it. Again, if you know someone in the government, someone in the army, someone in this, someone in that, you're not going to prison. And if you were back in Saddam's time, yes, that percentage would be different. But because we're talking about nowadays, it's less, because you can bribe your way out of it. Regardless of what you do.
It's irrelevant. If you got money, you can get out of it.
Yep. And people you know.
It's really not different here. It's very similar here.
Yeah.
It's probably a lot more.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Listen, if you have enough money in this country, you can get away with anything.
That's true, because you can do that anywhere.
So now look at what the government does on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. Lying, cheating, stealing, lying under oath, stealing elections, playing with ballots, tampering. If you or I were to do that, we'd be locked up for 20 years.
Yep.
No questions asked. These people, it's just, okay, no big deal, whatever. Well, consume 58% less oil.
Because we have oil.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
And sometimes you can't find oil. I'm not sure. Since I left in 2009, I don't know how things are legit there, but I see on the news here and there where they have like lack of. So people have to spend like 2 nights at a gas station so they can fill a tank. Like
really?
That. Yes. Or you can buy off the streets, which is not really 100% good for your car because it's mixed with something to make it, people trying to make money.
They water it down.
Yeah.
All right. You are 2.5 times more likely to be murdered.
I said bombing and explosions like they were fireworks. So yes, of course it is. Murdered by an explosion or murdered because you're a different ethnicity or religion. Easy. 83.5%
less likely to have HIV or AIDS.
True. You know why? It's not just in Iraq, it's the Middle East religion-related cultural thing. People don't have sex before marriage, and females have to stay virgin until the day of, what. But for men, and not all men actually seek women outside of their household. And if they do, it's not that much of a big number, and it's not risky as bad as other places.
It's funny we talked about this. Now, you look at a lot of, and I'm going to say underdeveloped countries, and I'm not insinuating that that's what Iraq is, but you trace cancer.
It is now.
Well, you look at cancer throughout the globe, and you see where it's prevalent, and it's mostly dramatically industrialized nations because of the carcinogens and so forth, what gets dumped into our drinking water. Was cancer a big deal in the Middle East?
It wasn't. Here's the thing. We rely on organic things more than not. So if I buy groceries and I don't consume them within 2-3 days, I'm saying like fruits and vegetables, they will go bad.
You have to disregard them, yeah.
Yes. Unlike here, you buy something a week after it's still running good in the fridge and you'd be like, I'm not sure.
Sketchy.
Right? I'm over it now because even the price tag is different between buying something off a shelf or organic. It's
oh yeah.
It's different. But what was I gonna say? What's
we
the
were just
question?
talking about organics, like in terms of cancer in our
Yes.
society.
Before the war, the cancer rate wasn't as bad, but after I shouldn't say this war, like 1991, because we got hit by a lot of uranium based explosions and rockets. That kind of raised the percentage for Iraq as a country.
Yeah.
And in 2003, the same thing. So is it alarming? Yes, it is. Do they get help? Do they get treatment? Do they get the necessary needs met? No. That's why you would see more people dying. But in general, we have more natural resources to consume that if it's the cause of having pumped up chicken into an all organic chicken.
Well, then we have everything.
You know?
A lot of what we do here is mass produced too.
Yeah.
And then the amount of hormones and antibiotics you give these animals while preparing them for slaughter and so forth.
Yes.
I guess my suspicion is it's not the same practices over there.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
A chicken is a chicken over there. It's you're looking like, oh my god, look at this teeny tiny
Here
bird.
they're like the size of my cat.
We don't eat cats.
I have a fat cat. I'm just saying for the size of the chickens you get here. And then they pump water into them. They inject water into
To
the...
make it bigger? But when you cook it, it's not going to stay there.
it gets dried out. It shrivels
Right?
down. Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
Now, actually, this will be the last one. In terms of Iraq to the United States that I pulled up, you have 2 times more babies.
Well, I don't know why I start with a well. But you got nothing else going on. So my parents belong to a generation where having 4 or 5 kids was the normal thing to do. And I was born in 86. I just told my age. But
That's the second time you mentioned your age. I just want to say
I'm
that
comfortable with it.
No, but this might be the first time in history a woman on audio and video has admitted her age twice.
I'm comfortable with it. It makes me who I am.
No, you should be. You look fantastic.
I appreciate that. I still get carded.
Do you? Isn't that awesome?
Oh my
Isn't that
God.
fantastic?
Yes. And I would ask, actually, is it like a state law or you think I'm young? They would say, no, actually, you don't look like you're 30. And I'm like, oh, I love you.
I love you. I'm going to spend more money here now.
I do. How did you know? But I belong to a generation, like I'm the youngest of 5 and I'm 86, was born in 86. And my parents belong to that generation where it's fine to have more kids. Then you have people who start having kids in the 80s after me. 90s, they shrink down because of cost of living and how much it costs you to raise a child. And then things got out of control at the end of 1999 into the new 2000-ish and then after the war because there's nothing else to do. Like when we were here lockdown, that's how a war felt like.
No.
On a different level. Over here, you'd be like, I'm just bored. Over there, you'd be like, oh, it's nighttime. We're going to get bombed.
Get bombed, go have some kids.
Uh-huh.
So healthcare, I'm trying to think of bad. Actually, this is a good one. What's the difference between the media in the Middle East and Iraq compared to here? What are some of the similarities and differences? Obviously, you know that we're very media driven in this country.
We are.
Everything we know and learn and act and react on is based on what we hear and see on the news.
And I wish people do more homework.
So what's the difference between here and what were your media outlets over there? Like I know you have news and television and so forth, but what's the difference in the quality of content that you're getting over there in comparison to here?
It's not much difference. So if you lived, which we're living under now, the Biden regime, I called him Joe Biden the other day, and that went well with a lot of people. So now we're having the cancel culture. You got the media promoting for one thing and shutting down the other thing. Well, growing up with Saddam was, if you're covering a story, that story has to be approved by the ministry. We have
propaganda.
It's a propaganda. If you are a foreign, like a TV channel going in to cover a thing, they will have to see what you recorded. They take out what they don't want, and they will have you go with one image they want you to show the rest of the world. I think it's similar right now.
It feels that way, yeah.
Because now we're having all right, so this person did so-and-so, like Como. Como a lot of shit.
He lied. No, swear all you want. It's fine.
No, a lot of dirt came out. I'm still a
Shitty
lady.
dirt.
I'm still a lady. A lot of dirt came on him while the whole pandemic was going on, but the media was like, hush, hush. Like Joe Biden's son, hush, hush.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. It's not much different of a context. It's just different time, different era, and how it's been handled and how people are accepting it.
And that's one of the biggest things I wanted to display with this discussion today was how I felt as though we are trending in the direction of what most people immigrate away from. And I feel like we're moving in the opposite direction.
Yes, we are.
That was one of the biggest foundations I wanted to establish today was exactly that. To hear it firsthand from somebody who unfortunately lived through all this. And it's sad too, because look, as expensive and old and frustrating as Rhode Island is, it's my home. I've lived in Rhode Island since I was in 5th grade. I moved to Coventry in 5th grade.
Coventry. I love Coventry.
Coventry. It's where my parents live, Coventry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't say Coventry. Coventry.
Because it's the proper way to... Well, I think you've seen my post on Facebook where
yes.
the English I learned in school compared to the one I'm practicing right now. So it's Coventry.
Yeah.
It's not Coventry.
Yeah,
but I say Coventry because when I said Coventry back in the day, we were like, what?
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
No, like water. They'd be like, what? Would you like a bottle? I used to say, I even lost my own thing. I used to say, would you like a bottle of water?
My grandmother says bottle.
Yeah, and they would be like, what? I'm like, that? They would be like, oh, water.
Water.
I'm like,
we sound like a bunch of uneducated thugs around here.
We do.
Last night we were at that comedy show. We were sitting across from a guy who we actually wound up knowing each other through past colleagues.
Yeah.
We're talking about where we're from and this and that. And I had mentioned, oh, my family's from Staten Island, Brooklyn, Bronx. He goes, I couldn't fucking tell from your accent.
I'm from Coventry.
Yeah, Coventry. But, the point I'm trying to make is it's unfortunate that you experienced all that as a kid. Although it shaped you as an individual, it's sad to have such normalcy revolved around an unnormal routine in life.
I appreciate that.
Do you miss... no, obviously, there are some certain circumstances and things you miss about your childhood, but if you had to choose one thing that you miss the most about being in Baghdad, what would it be?
I'll miss it all.
Nothing.
I miss it all. No, I miss it all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misheard you. I thought you said I don't miss it at all.
No, I miss it all. Yeah. My childhood was fine. I was that generation where we were just like you, play outside, have fun.
I miss it.
Go back when it's dark, it's dinner time, that kind, where it was fine for a female kid and a male kid, we're both just children, to play together.
Yeah.
There's nothing like titled about it. And I miss it all. Do I miss the food? Oh, good God, I do. If you want to make me cry.
I don't want to make you cry.
Well, my friends sometimes act mean and they start sending me like whatever they are having.
Oh, yeah.
Over there, and they like on Instagram, they would show me and I'm sitting there, I'm like, why would you do that to me? Like, I miss it.
So when I'm thinking next Saturday, so I got to record that show with the guy from The Sopranos.
Yeah.
In Burlington, Mass, at like 11 o'clock. I'll be done by like 1:30.
Yep.
What I'm thinking is when we get back, you come by, me and Brandon will go to the grocery store, we'll get some stuff.
No, I'll make it. I'll bring it. We're
you
just going to warm it up.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Easier, faster.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, and you introduce us to your cooking, because I haven't had my wife, I don't care what she makes, it's good. But
we just had cookies and it's amazing.
It was just one.
It's so good. I'm taking a couple to go by the way.
I was going to say before, because she's not bringing them tomorrow.
I usually don't ask people.
No, you can take whatever because if you don't, that means I'm going to have to eat that whole tray.
I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
I'll share your thing with you.
You'll be doing me a favor. It's just it's really unfortunate, but one of the biggest things I wanted to establish today was exactly what we've done, is that I don't think your childhood, my childhood, the things we want out of life, do I think everyone that's born and raised in the Middle East grows up to hate the United States, death to America, all this bullshit, all this propaganda that we get fed? I was dying to sit down and have this discussion with you, because I know. After I met you, I said, I'm like, here is a kind-hearted human being. I see no difference between you and the folk. Truth be told, you're kinder and sweeter and nicer and more nurturing than half the assholes I grew up with. And guys, you know who you are. You're all assholes. So it just, I knew that there was common ground, but I also know, and you know this as well, that it's in our political nature and it's in the media's nature to drive that wedge in between us, to make us seem like we're all extremists. Yes. We're all redneck racists. You're all jihadists. It's just all this bullshit. I couldn't wait to sit down and have this discussion with you. I honestly couldn't. I
couldn't wait to do it. I know we had to reschedule about like 3 times thanks to the snow, and which I didn't just pick the wrong state at this point. I feel like I picked the wrong country altogether. But every time it snows, I have to say I picked the wrong state. What's wrong with Texas, for God's sake? Or Florida.
Our retirement plan is either South Carolina, Florida, or Aruba somewhere. Just go to an island. Yes. Go to an island, sit on a beach. I said, I'll go work in a resort where we'll have a little ice cream stand. We push around a beach, something like that.
All you need.
I have no desire. Like I'm not a materialistic person.
I know that.
By any means. What do you mean you know that? Do I look cheap?
No, I know one cheap person, and you are by far not cheap. But it's how you carry yourself. It's I've met you, I've met your wife, and I've been around you for about 3-4 times already, but for a good amount of time. And it's how you carry yourself.
I just like people to have a good time in my presence. I like to entertain people. I want people. Do? I try. Sometimes I go a little too far, but I want people to. My wife brings up a good point, and you saw that video of me dancing last night. I don't see myself as an intimidating looking person, but apparently I have resting bitch face when we're out in public. She's like, you always look like you're angry. Everywhere I go, everybody thinks I'm a cop. I have this demeanor about me when I'm
You do.
And I don't mean to.
Now you mentioned it.
So it's funny now that you know me, you realize, wow, this kid's kind of a fucking jerk off. Like I'm like a goof, but I don't look that way. So I try to go out of my way, and that's probably why my personality is so boisterous and outgoing. I want people to be comfortable around me. I want people to have a good time. I'm not one of those. I'm not arrogant. I'm not. Although I do think I'm incredibly handsome, I try not to be arrogant about it. But so I go out of my way to do that. And apparently, I offend people sometimes. But whatever.
You have not offended me once yet. And the key word is yet.
Which speaks volumes about your tolerance, because
No. If you hit a nerve, I get hurt easy. But you haven't been.
But I'm not mean. Like,
exactly.
Look, I was picked on my whole life. So funny story. When I first moved, we lived in Scituate when I was a kid for a little bit. I was born in Massachusetts. We moved to Scituate for a couple of years. I feel like you would like my mother, so we moved out of Scituate because my mother beat up my neighbor's mom. They were fucking hillbilly trash. It's a true story.
I'm listening.
So have you been to Scituate before? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Situate's kind of out there. You're out in the middle of nowhere. So I lived in Scituate, and one day the neighbors across the street, and I periodically, Brianna and I, we go for drives, especially in the fall, Scituate, Chepachet, Burrillville, go see the foliage. Yeah. So I drive by my old house from time to time, a couple times a year. So the scumbags that I grew up with still live there. Now, one kid's been to jail. I think he's still in jail for like a second or third bank robbery. The other one, I don't know what happened. The daughter was what. They're just hillbilly garbage. One day, 2 of their kids and a friend up the street jumped me up the street from my house, beat me up, broke my bike. I went home. The mother was laying out in the front yard getting a tan. So my mother goes over to confront her to ask her, you should punish your kids, or what they did. I'm sitting in the edge of my front yard, and I got to tell them I had them bleeding. So she talks to the mother. Now, my whole family, my mother is no joke. This woman threw her iced tea or ice water, whatever it was, in my mother's face. My mother picked her up off the chair, one shot, 8 stitches. It opened her face right up. So they both got arrested.
Way to go, Mom.
I was traumatized from the ass kicking. Yeah. Then I was traumatized because my mother went from 0 to Terminator in like 60 seconds.
It's a mother's thing. Are you kidding me?
I watched my mother punch a dent in the side of some guy's truck in Jerry's Market, and we were kids because he took her space. She was waiting for a parking space. It's the New York in her. She can't help herself.
Some people deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that lady deserved it.
Yes.
Oh, boy, did she deserve it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I know I had a very unique upbringing, but it's unfortunate. Like all I was really hoping to do with this is to just let people know that we all have the same baseline. We all start at the same place. We all want the same things. Whatever differences are perceived, I think it's false. I really do. Like I have black friends, Hispanic friends, rich friends, poor friends, nice friends, mean friends. You realize in life, and it's usually people become victims of like their environment. They're reacting to external factors which shape who they are. And I truly do think that particularly after 9/11, anybody who descended from the Middle East caught a bad rap. Didn't matter where you were from. Didn't matter what religion you followed. Didn't matter how you got here. It was just a very unfair time in the world. And I think since 9/11, it's been this constant attack on your background, your culture, or anyone from the Middle East.
Because it serves a purpose. It still serves a purpose. Let me live let me make the people live in fear of, so I can still control the people. That's why it serves a purpose.
Perfectly said. It's control.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
If the news continues to control the narrative, then they can control us and our behaviors and how we interact with each other.
Yes. Now look at us now. The day I posted I became a Republican today, I posted it first on Instagram, and I probably lost about like 9 of my friends. And I'm looking at I don't care about how many people would follow me or not, but I'm like, oh, that's a large number. And I went and I looked, and I'm like, yep, you're a liberal. But really, like you technically canceled me for coming out to say which party I support. But I've been seeing you for years supporting the other party, and I was fine with it.
Tolerant to it.
Right?
It doesn't define you.
It defines... Some of it defines what I stand for, my values. There's nothing that would define you 100% as a person, what you support.
No, but what kills me is that they were willing to drop you because of one declaration, so to speak.
Yes.
One statement. And up until that point, you were perfectly fine, friends.
Yes.
But because you believe something slightly different from their beliefs, they don't want to be associated with you.
Then we're not friends.
That's the problem with the left.
Then we're not friends. My friend that I mentioned before, she is more liberal than I am. She wasn't born actually in Iraq at all, but she's Iraqi, and then she came here, citizenship and whatnot. She's American now and whatnot, but she believes more in, I call her human rights. I'm like, you believe in a lot of human rights. You did not grow up under Saddam. Get over yourself. So sometimes you get into a lot of like discussions and arguments and things like that. And she does not cancel me for the things I believe or how I feel about them. And she would be like, I get what you're saying, but I think like the cops should have done a better job. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, but I feel this guy should have stopped when they asked him to stop.
Yeah, it's just a difference of opinion.
Exactly.
It's like if you and I were to get in the car and drive somewhere, you don't like the way I drive, or I drive too fast.
Yes.
And you never talk to me again. It's crazy.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it's just crazy.
It really doesn't.
So you said you watched a show I put up last week. Was it the one I had with that guy, Nate, where I lost the bet? I had the underwear on my head?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, circle of trust here. I was supposed to wear his jock strap as a COVID mask, but we're adults. We don't play sports. He didn't have a jock strap. So I put my underwear on my head, saying that they were his when he used to ride BMX bikes. It was literally my own underwear on my head.
The only thing I was hoping for when I was looking at that scene, that I hope it's brand new, even if it's his, but it's brand new. He's like, here, it's mine. You have to put it on your head.
I told him, I said, Nate, go to the store. I said, do yourself a favor. Get the biggest cup you can find so it looks like you have a 14-pound penis. I said, now put that thing on my head.
Are you promoting for the guy?
I said, look, I lost a bet. It is what it is. I got to eat shit. So you know what he did? Asshole. Nate, you're an asshole. His kid's a quarterback at Plymouth State College.
Yeah.
He goes, I was looking for my son's cup. I'm like, bro.
No, that's not the deal.
I'm like, that's perverted.
Yeah.
I don't want 17, 18-year-old kid's balls on my head. Or do I? I don't know. But he was looking for his kid's cup. He's like, I must be in his car because I couldn't find it. So he didn't come over with anything. Yeah. So I lost the bet. So I had to take my own panties and put them on my head.
Now we know you like red. Was it red? Yes,
I have multiple colors. There was a blue and yellow. I have charcoal and light gray, black and red.
I don't need to know the colors.
I'm just
talking
saying
about that one. I think it was red one.
It was a burgundy.
Was it?
With like a salmon band, I think. Hold on. Now you got me curious. But either way, hey, by the way, since I'm looking through my pictures, what about that lady? Why would a girl put, perfect question.
Yeah.
Why would a girl put Gorilla Glue in her hair?
No comment. Did you see the other guy that went and glued a cup into his face?
I did. I actually insulted him too.
They are using like a new trend, how to trend that way, being stupid or something.
Listen, I put a post up. I said maybe next time you should try drinking the glue instead of putting it on your face. Oh. First it was Tide Pods. Remember people were chewing on Tide Pods?
Yes.
Yeah, so we went from Tide Pods, and now we're going into people putting Gorilla Glue on their face and in their hair. And then she's going to sue the company.
She did. I'm not sure how good it's working for her, but it says don't put it on skin.
It was burgundy and teal.
Oh, isn't that cute?
Right?
Yeah.
You know what? I look like an Italian pharaoh.
You do look now. Well, you took your bet as a champ, really. You lost.
I even told him because my goal was I was gonna have him buy a cup brand new, and we were gonna scuff it up to make it look like he maybe peed a little bit or something on it. I was gonna wear it over my face for the show. I'm like, I will keep the cup on like a COVID mask. That was the deal.
Yeah. So, thank God he didn't show up with anything.
Well, thank you.
We wouldn't get to see this face.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Although I have Halloween mask. I probably should have put one of those on. But I took it like a champ. So then I had to improvise and use my own underwear. But it is what it is. Is there anything at all that you'd like to, any wisdom you'd like to bequeath? Anything you want to say in closing?
It's not anything. It's a lot of things, but I will keep it short, saying just do your homework. If you hear something, you watch the news, CNN, do your homework. Look up. If you hear like Canada's coming after us tomorrow, go look up why Canada's coming after us tomorrow. Why they want to go to war with us. What do they believe? And don't take whatever stream media that you have, like ABC or whatever, as, oh my God, they said that. It is absolutely true. Because most of the time it's not.
No,
media is your worst enemy. Then after that, losing your rights as a person. I came to this country thinking it's the best thing ever. And then I got hit with Obama. So when I was here and I'm like, I really got my citizenship signed by Obama. Really, it is signed by Obama. That's when I became a citizen in 2016 and he was still in office. So do your homework. Love your country. Don't stand down when you're not supposed to. Freedom of speech, and our freedom doesn't come free. It's not free. We're paying for it. We're paying for it by our men and women that serve. We pay
people
for
like
it
your
by
brother.
Yeah. Thank you. We're paying for it from what we pay for taxes. We are paying for our freedom. Don't lose that. Once we lose our freedom, when we lose the Second Amendment, we're no different than a third world country.
No, we're not.
And I can see us going there. And what bothers me even more, that when people feel like going towards socialism, communism is really like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Have you lived under that kind of regime?
Thank you. Do you know how often I say that? If you really believe you want to live in a socialistic or a communistic country, go live in one. Go check it out for yourself.
Right? Have you? No. You just see like, oh, I'm getting the word
stuff.
Free.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people who are with that perspective. And they are really like unemployed. I'm not dissing anyone because I was unemployed. I was on furlough when COVID hit. And my company was nice enough to actually offer me the furlough option. When we're busy, we're going to call you back. And they did. And I'm back and I'm fine. But I'm not dissing anyone who's not unemployed because things happened. But because it's a choice they are making. Because it's like free access to free everything. And these are the people who are pushing towards the free culture and the cancel culture and liberal culture because they feel, oh, once I support what's going on, my reward will be free everything. They are thinking selfishly in what am I getting out of this? They are not looking at the bigger picture, how much of a damage this is causing my nation and my country.
Perfect example of this, of what you just said is, if you're watching an infomercial.
Yeah.
And call now, get your free this, get your free that. It's never free because what they do is you have to provide them with some type of billing information.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can't get your free bottle. And then good luck trying to cancel that.
Yes.
Like if you get like these testosterone boosters, or if you're up at 2:00 in the morning, they have these sex pills all over the place. It's ridiculous. Everything's free, but nothing is free. Nothing.
I come from a free country and it wasn't free.
Yeah.
We had something that was paying for the free services we got. So nothing is free.
No, it's not.
Someone at the end is paying for it, or something at the end is paying for it. There's nothing free. Work hard. What's wrong with working hard? Paying your own bills, buying your own things. What's
Man,
wrong
you
with
hearing
that?
this? This is what you want to marry right here.
Let it go. Let it go. No, seriously, what is wrong with doing all that?
Nothing, but I think people who are, when you're born into that cycle, that life where you're just constantly sitting there with their hands out.
I'm sorry.
Who's going to take care of me?
That.
I can't either. I remember watching a couple of years ago, there was a woman on, I forget why the news was talking to her. And she was bitching and pissing and moaning. In this 15 seconds she was on the news, there was a fire in her building. Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to feed my kid? Who's going to pay for my kid's clothes? Blah, blah, blah. Who? Dude, do it yourself. You pay to rent. I mean, you're renting an apartment. Get renter's insurance. That's what the rest of us have to do.
Yes.
Your Section 8 doesn't cover all this stuff, so now you have to wait. So that's the problem. Nothing's free, and there's limits to what free can actually do for you.
Yep.
But people don't want to hear that. They just want to be able to fucking sit around, smoke weed, play video games, be shit bums, and they think they're going to get by in life like that.
It's not right.
No, it's not reality. No. It's not reality.
It's not right.
But I really, honestly, God, cannot thank you enough.
I cannot thank you enough for having me, because I feel like I got the chance to say a lot of things about my culture, where I come from, things that is different here than there.
I think we should do a follow-up.
Do you know?
Yeah, I think you should come back.
Okay.
We could do like
my honor.
We can do like what would be really cool is if whenever there's trending topic, look, this shit trending in the news every single day. Whenever relevant stuff happens, we should have like a little Trump segment for you.
Up for it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Up for it.
Now listen.
I appreciate it.
Farrah, thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
This is a lot of fun. It really was.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for the wine. You really didn't have to do that.
It's my pleasure. Please don't mention it.
It was good to loosen up a little bit.
It was.
You were cute. You would text me earlier like, I'm nervous. No, I don't be nervous.
Well, I've never done this before. I've been everywhere I go. I get asked because where I come from, and it's not. At this point, I'm fine with what's coming after. Since someone would say, "Where are you from?" and I would say, "I'm from Iraq," and "Oh, how long you've been there?" That questions will pop up right away, and I'm fine with it. But I have not been into like a real podcast show where there's a camera looking at me.
Listen,
that's why I text you. I'm like, I feel nervous.
Now, listen, the benefit to all this is I can edit. Everything gets edited. So when you said I said I had to pee, then you said you had to pee.
Yes.
Little allergic cough, all that shit gets edited.
I probably threatened you 3 times, like, I know where you live. You're going to cut this, right?
You know what I should do is I should make like a 2-minute little video of just the outtakes. You're going to cut this, you're going to cut this, you're going to cut this, you're going to cut this. I'll make that for you.
Thank you.
I'll make that for you and your family.
I want to see that.
I'll make that for you and your family. It'll be fun.
I want to see that. That would be fun. Appreciate it.
But yeah, no, listen, it would be really cool to have you come back on here, because this was, for me personally, incredibly informative, valuable, and I think what most people, it's funny because a lot of my military listeners were dying for you to come on the show.
Really?
Because guys who've been overseas, you understand, like, and they're there, they're working, they're doing their thing, so they understand it. And they, just like you, know that there was a huge misconception about what your part of the world, your culture, your people are like.
They were not taught about it either.
No. And then you historically have gotten the bad rap because you were painted as villains, and you're not. It'd be no different than if a military rolled into the United States and attacked us for one of our resources.
Yep.
It'd be no different. We've just fortunately never been on that side of this conversation.
And believe it or not, people who came here and granted citizenship, they are more loyal to here, the country that took them in, provide them with rights, and explore the freedom. In sense of whatever I couldn't do back there, I'm doing it here, and it's fine and it's normal. I'm not getting killed or bombed or threatened for it. they will die for this country because this is now home.
And the other thing too is the one big takeaway I got from all this, and this is just me speaking personally, is how much we take for granted here.
Oh, a lot.
Everything.
Oh, a lot.
Everything. And if there's one thing I want all the viewers and listeners to take away from this, is that we are very lucky to be here. But if we continue down this treacherous path, we're going to lose all this.
We are.
Yeah. And this is coming from someone who's been on the other side of this, and you've seen it. And so
good luck. I chose to be here at this time of.
Right? No, the luck's all on this side of the table. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
All right, so you say goodbye to that one. I'm going to say goodbye to that one.
Bye-bye. Guys,
thank you so much for watching another episode of the Bardi Shop. Farrah, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Steve, for having me.
Oh, please. It was my pleasure. Thank you so
pleasure.
much. We'll talk to you soon, guys.